On today's episode of the John Campea Show, Harrison Ford says his Indiana Jones co-star deserves an Academy Award. We're going to talk a little bit about the new Charlie Cox Netflix series, Treason. Apparently those reports of Robert Pattinson's Batman coming into the DCU totally debunked. James Gunn is going to be writing a new Superman movie, and my boy, Henry Cavill, is no longer going to be Superman. That and a whole bunch more. The John Campea Show starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn relate show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around to talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good and sometimes sad things. Joining us today, sitting over here, is, of course, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Back there at the controls, we got Ray Ora. Running the show, of course, is Jonathan Boyko. Beside him is, of course, Taylor Gonzalez. And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you guys for being here, making this show part of your day. Here's how today's show is going to go. The first half of the show, we're going to talk about some predetermined topics. Can't imagine what those might be. And then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a live comment or question you'd like me and Rob to address on the show, simply wait till the end of the main topics are done, and we'll announce that we're opening up the super chats. Once we do, you'll have just a couple of minutes to fire in your thoughts, theories, opinions, and questions, and Rob and I will address those again in the second half of the show. Also, a little bit of housekeeping. I want to remind you guys, if you need your daily fix of the John Campea Show, but you can't be in front of a YouTube video, good news. There's an audio-only version simply called the John Campea Show Podcast. Go sign up to it so it'll be there when you need it. Also, don't forget, for those of you who are channel members, and thank you to all of you guys who are channel members, a little bit later today, we're going to be doing our channel member chat that'll be going up, because during the show, some of you guys send in your monthly anniversary member chats, and we gather those up, and then we address them every couple of days, and Rob will be doing that video a little bit later. I won't be doing it because me and Ray are going to go see Avatar at 3 o'clock.
Game day.
It is game day for Avatar, The Way of Water. So Ray and I are going to see how he's going to make it through a 3-hour and 20-minute movie. I have no idea at this
Spoilers,
point.
I'm not.
He was like, oh no, if it's 3D, I'll be able to do it. Okay, great. We got tickets for 3D. Yeah, I'm not going to make it all the way through, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, all right, guys. Before we get into all the main topics, we do have a couple of off the tops here that we want to discuss. And our first one is this. As of this moment, for me personally, Everything Everywhere All at Once is still the best movie of the year. I have still a couple of key films to see. I haven't seen Fabelmans yet. I don't know what the hell's going on there. I haven't had a chance to see Fabelmans yet. There's still a couple of films I need to see. But as of this moment, Everything Everywhere All at Once is still my number one film of the year. By the way, next week, we're going to be doing our top films of 2022 lists, and of course, our most anticipated of 2023 lists. Keep your guys' eyes open for that. But one of the big standouts in all the awards season have been going around, like from the Independent Spirit Awards, the Critics' Choice Awards, even the useless Golden Globes. Everything Everywhere All at Once is getting a lot of awards buzz, and one of the guys at the center of that is Short Round himself, Ke Huy Quan, who is gathering up Best Supporting Actor nominations and wins, and Best Supporting Actor wins at a lot of the main awards festival circuits. He's coming up big. Now, of course, one of the most heartwarming pictures of the year was behind the stage at D23 when Kay and Harrison Ford met up, and they gave, I don't know if you guys saw that picture or not, but they gave each other this big hug and took a photo of it. That was like one of the best photos of the entire year. I loved that image. I thought that was so great. But anyway, Harrison Ford was, oh, and there's the picture there. I love that picture. Aww. I want to have that picture on one TV while on the other TV I have Temple of Doom playing. That's what I want. Anyway, Harrison Ford was recently asked about, what he thought about Kwan's, award season buzz and all that kind of stuff. And he thinks he deserves every single bit of it. Ford said at an event, he said, it was great to see him. I mean, I've had the opportunity to see Everything Everywhere All at Once. He is really terrific in this movie, and I'm so glad to see him and what he has become. I'm so happy for him. He's such a nice guy. This is well-deserved. So I mean, hearing Harrison Ford come out, of course, backing up his old co-star, it warms the cockles of my heart. And by the way, it's not just friendly platitudes. He really does deserve this. I'm not necessarily saying he should absolutely win. I'll be happy if he does, but he absolutely deserves this nomination. When you look at what he does in Everything Everywhere at All Once, playing multiple versions of himself, from a meek laundromat owner to a futuristic kung fu master to another future Various who's just a rich and aloof kind of guy. I mean, he's brilliant in this film. Anyway, Rob, you heard Harrison Ford's words here. And what do you think about his chances heading into award season?
Well, I think pretty good. You know, everyone likes a story like this. It's great to see him come back to acting. It's funny because being into, like, I'm a huge Temple of Doom fan, and he was also,
too.
you know, Goonies and Temple of Doom was.
Look at that. He could be an Asian James Bond in that picture.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
he looks fantastic. And the thing about it is, I love seeing people's, you know, we believe that if you become a famous actor, a famous director, like that's it. That's all you do. Well, he kind of left acting, led his life, you know, had a normal civilian life. Now he gets to come back to it in a really interesting project. Like, he could have just been some token guy on TV, but no, he comes back in a film where he really gets to stretch as an actor. He gets to do a lot of it.
And he gets to do a martial arts action scene with a fanny pack.
You got to love it.
How many people get to do that?
And he's getting cast in other roles, and
Yeah.
I think it's terrific. You know, I couldn't have happened to a nicer kid, and you know, can you believe Temple of Doom's 38 years old?
No. I guess we're going to have to introduce a 40-year-old topic on the rewind, maybe in a year or two. But you know, what's really funny too, part of the thing I love about his story is that, you know, he had walked away from acting, he had given up on it until he saw Henry Golding's Crazy Rich Asians. And he said, watching Crazy Rich Asians, he said, maybe there's a place for me still in the world of filmmaking. And he came back, guys, anybody who tells you representation doesn't matter, fucking representation matters.
Yeah.
Because he saw that movie, he goes, maybe there is a place for me. And now he could be an Academy Award winner. Anyway, I think this story is great. Guys, what do you think about this? And have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once? What do you think about Kwan's performance? Do you think he deserves all the accolades he's getting? Do you think he might be a favorite for the Academy Award? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get on to a weekly segment here that we didn't do yesterday because we had, 11 topics hit? We had a whole bunch of stuff we had to talk about yesterday. But our weekly segment here of what is streaming next. You know, with all these different streaming platforms out there, there's a hell of a lot of stuff. It's hard to keep up to date and keep track of everything that's coming out. Well, we've got you covered here. So let's look at what's coming out on streaming this week. We're going to start things off here with, on Wednesday, this is yesterday dropped. I totally forgot about this. National Treasure: Edge of History dropped on Disney Plus yesterday. Now, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't even heard anything about it yet. But Ray, you said you've been hearing some people talking about this. Oh, you haven't?
I haven't. No.
Oh, I thought you were saying beforehand that people have been watching. I mean, I haven't heard anybody talk about this yet. I totally forgot it was coming out. But and it is, here's the thing, it is part of the National Treasure universe. It is one cohesive universe. There is some crossover with the movies in this. Anyway, so that is now on Disney Plus right now. All right. Also opening up today on Thursday, December 15th, The Game Season 2. Now, this is one that I have not watched, but I know a couple of people who do and actually quite like it. This is another one of those things that's on Paramount Plus, opens up today on Paramount Plus, The Game Season 2. Also opening up today, I loved the first season of the Murderville. First season of Murderville was, when I watched the first 5 minutes of Murderville, I thought this is going to be really bad. This is bad. But 5 more minutes into it, I'm like, this is utterly genius. This thing's incredible. So Murderville returns with Who Killed Santa. Senior Detective Terry Seattle is back, and this time the case is critical. Along with his 2 celebrity guest stars, Jason Bateman and Maya Rudolph, he is on a mission to figure out who killed Santa. But here's the catch. Jason Bateman and Maya Rudolph aren't being given the script. So if you don't know anything about Murderville, the idea was every week, it looks like this season is a little bit different. There was a different case. So you had Detective Seattle, and then they would have a celebrity guest star, right, as his assistant detective on the case. The catch is the guest celebrity doesn't have the script. And they literally have to improvise and react to everything going on. It is a dangerous concept for a show, but one that worked out really well. Marshawn Lynch was on it in season 1, and he slayed.
Oh yeah,
Marshawn Lynch.
He always does.
He always did. He was so good on that. Beast mode for sure. So that the new season of that drops today. Also dropping today. I'm guessing Disney Plus, since this is a Simpsons thing.
Oh yeah, it's on there. Disney Plus.
The Simpsons meet the Bocellis in Feliz Navidad. Homer surprises Marge with the ultimate gift, an unforgettable performance from Italian opera superstar Andrea Bocelli and his 25-year-old son, Matteo, and 10-year-old daughter, Virginia. Still one of my favorite things. I was dating this girl. One of the greatest moments ever. I was dating this one girl, and we were going through the channels, and Andrea Bocelli was on. And she went, I don't like this guy's attitude. I'm like, why? She goes, he thinks he's so cool. He's always singing with his eyes closed and everything.
God.
I'm like, you're not brain. You are not brain. Anyway, so there's that. Next up, opening tomorrow on Friday. Why is my watch responding to everything I'm saying? On Friday, Cook at All Costs opens up on Netflix. Do fancy ingredients always make better dishes, or can humble articles become a recipe for success? 3 home cooks put their money up for grabs in a high-stakes, auction-filled cooking competition. Only one will win Cooking at All Costs. I know nothing about this, but I'm always down for cooking competition shows.
Yep.
So, and Netflix has been getting more and more into the cooking stuff.
Yeah.
Like a lot, some highbrow stuff, some not so highbrow stuff, but they got some interesting looking things out there. All right. Also, Dance Monster. This is one I am so excited about skipping. Dance Monster coming out on Netflix. A dancing competition with a monster twist that has never been seen before. Really? Hasn't been seen before? So, like, what is it? Masked Singer doesn't exist? Anyway.
Yeah.
Has never been seen before, giving a colorful global stage to people passionate about dance. Competitors transform into lovable and fantastical dance monsters in front of a panel of judges. Critics say, who the fuck cares? I have no interest in this.
This sounds awful.
This sounds terrible. But hey, if you're interested in this, God bless. All right. This looks interesting to me. Opening up on Friday on Disney Plus, If These Walls Could Sing, the untold story of the Abbey Road, legendary Abbey Road Studios, all-star interviews, and ultimate access to the premises. This is one I'm dying to watch. Like this is, I wish webcams had been around since the 50s.
Oh.
I wish this is something, the stuff, the legends who have recorded in here. This looks fascinating to me. I can't wait to watch this. This is another one. We talked about the teaser for this that dropped a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
But The Recruit drops on Netflix, follows a lawyer at the CIA who gets entangled in dangerous international power politics when a former asset threatens to expose the nature of her long-term relationship with the agency, starring Black Adams, Noah Centineo. And I got to say, I think this looks terrific. I'm really excited about watching this one. So this one comes out on Friday. Moving on to Saturday, this is the one. This is it. The Yellowstone prequel series, 1923, with Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. I cannot begin to tell you how excited I am about this. The Duttons face a new set of challenges in the early 20th century, including the rise of Western expansion, Prohibition, and the Great Depression. They dropped the full trailer for it, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. Stunning. Looks absolutely stunning. I am so excited for this show. The other prequel series they did, 1883, was completely fantastic. The main show, Yellowstone, I still think is the best show on TV. And this looks incredible. So, Rob, we got some good-looking stuff, some not-so-good-looking stuff. What on this list is standing out to you?
Well, the Abbey Road Studios documentary. I mean, I know you're not as big a Beatles fan, but the Beatles, and they've done so many things at Abbey Road Studios over the years. I'm a sucker for music documentaries anyway, and to see the people that have come in and out of that venue, can't wait to see that. Of course, 1923. I didn't realize it was going to happen so quickly. I thought it was. I don't know why I thought it was in the new year. The fact that it's starting this weekend, what a great early Christmas gift we're getting, because this show looks incredible. I mean, I can't wait to see the show, and I'm a sucker for anything like The Recruit. We got The Recruit coming. We're going to talk about Treason later, but I'm a sucker. So those 3 shows, I think actually those 3 shows are all going to be pretty great. So I'm excited.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Now, as far as the National Treasure one goes, I know there's a lot of people where National Treasure has an absolute dear place in their heart. I like the National Treasure movies, but I'm I'm not as taken with the National Treasure franchise as some people are. So I'm still interested in seeing this to see what they do. But the fact that I haven't heard anything from anybody about it.
I did get a few notices about it.
Did you?
They weren't good.
You're not hearing good things?
They weren't good.
I'll watch a little bit of it myself and see what I think. Question is for you guys. With all this stuff coming out on streaming this week, are there any that are particularly standing out to you? Or are there some that you will want to avoid at all costs? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day, shall we? If you guys have a question or topic for the show, but you'd like to hear your voice on the show as well, go ahead and call our Mint Mobile hotline number anytime at 951-268-4259. Leave your message there and you just might hear it on the show. And we are talking about, you just referenced it, the new Charlie Cox show, Treason.
Hey, my name is Josh from North Carolina, and I was just curious if you guys saw this trailer for the movie Treason on Netflix. It's a pretty basic name, but, Charlie Cox is in it. That's pretty cool. I feel like Charlie Cox is kind of like David Tennant and some other actors where you love them in a certain role and you love them so much in that role that you'll watch anything that they're in. So just wanted to know if you guys had any thoughts on this trailer for Treason. I honestly thought it looked pretty cool and that Charlie Cox looks awesome in the movie. So hopefully this is a new era for him, not just playing as Daredevil, but also playing more cinematic roles. Thanks. Have a good day.
All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, Josh. And you know what? This is one that was completely, I remember we first heard that this was going into development a while ago. I had totally forgotten about Treason. Totally forgotten about, and this trailer is actually one that dropped a number of days ago. I think it dropped like late last week. And it totally flew under my radar until Josh called in with that message. So listen, I have been a Charlie Cox fan since Stardust, which I think it is now an older movie.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, I thought it's the newer version of Princess Bride, really, in many ways. I love Stardust. Robert De Niro, Charlie Cox, Henry Cavill, Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer. I mean, the list goes on and on.
It's a great movie.
Ricky Gervais is in there.
Neil Gaiman.
Peter O'Toole. I mean,
Novel.
it's fantastic. Mark Strong, I believe, is in there as well. If you guys haven't seen Stardust, go see Stardust. There he is with Claire Danes, Charlie Cox, Claire Danes, and one of his nemesis is in there is Superman, Henry Cavill. There's Henry. Check out Henry in Stardust. Anyway, it's a fabulous movie if you haven't watched it. And then Jonathan Voica was pointing out before the show started that Boardwalk Empire, Charlie Cox was in there too.
Yeah.
And of course, but what most people know him today as Daredevil. And I remember when they announced he was going to be doing this like spy political thriller, as are people who only know him as Daredevil going to be able to see him as anything else? Well, now comes this trailer for Treason. And I sat down and I watched it early this morning. And I was floored. Every once in a while, like I see a lot of trailers that I love. It's like, that looked great, whatever. But every once in a while I come across a trailer where then I feel a sadness that I can't watch this right now. And that's kind of the feeling I got watching this trailer, like super high spy political intrigue, this young the youngest ever head now of MI6.
Yeah.
And what's the name of the guy who's playing his boss?
Ciarán Hinds.
That's it. Ciarán Hinds in there, who is fantastic in absolutely everything.
Great.
And by the way, Olga Kurylenko is in here as well, playing, I believe, the Russian spy.
Yeah, like an old flame or something.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't recognize the name. She's not a household name, but she was the runner-up to be Wonder Woman to Gal Gadot, like so many years ago. She was the runner-up to play Wonder Woman. She was in that Hitman movie. She was in a James Bond film.
Quantum of Solace.
She's actually she's evolved into a really good actress.
And she's absolutely, I love her look.
Oh, yeah.
She's absolutely stunningly beautiful.
She absolutely is. And so I was watching this and the twists and the turns, and I'm telling you what, Rob, I'm like, why did I not hear about this trailer dropping last week? I loved what I saw. This one is high on my list now for my most anticipated to watch. You saw the trailer for Treason. What did you think?
Oh, yeah. Well, I watched this when it first dropped. I'd never heard of it. I'm like, what is this? And the title, I'm like, Treason. couldn't they have come up with a better title? But I watched anything to do with MI6 and double agents and John le Carré intrigue and all this. Dude, this is like catnip for me. This is right up my alley. When I watch this trailer, it just looks great. I mean, I have high hopes, kind of like, I love Bodyguard. Not that this has anything to do with Bodyguard, but that was MI5 and all that with Richard Madden. I thought that was great too. I'm hoping
that
this
was
will be
incredible. Yeah.
Incredible. I'm hoping this will be along those lines because it looks fantastic and it looks beautifully made. I can't tell you how excited I am for this show. I think it drops on the 26th.
Yes, December 26th, Boxing Day, as Canadians call it.
Bro, I'm setting aside a day. I'm going to watch the entire thing.
Going to set aside the boxes.
Set aside the boxes. By the way, how many Daredevil fans are going to watch this and go, I'm going to be totally thrown off by his accent?
Oh,
I think a lot of people who have never seen him in anything else are going to watch it. It's like, wait, what? I think
he's doing a British accent.
Yes, that's what's happening.
He's playing a Brit.
He's doing a British accent. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you guys have a chance to see this trailer for Treason? If not, we highly recommend that you go check it out. This thing looks fantastic. I'm very excited about watching it. Whatever you guys thought about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's now move into our main topics here today, shall we? And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, that's easy. You guys come up with the main topics. See, whenever you guys come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we absolutely must cover as a main topic on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Rob, what is our first main topic today?
John, our first main topic comes to us from Alan Renshaw. I saw in Variety that it said James Gunn, Peter Safran are exploring ways to incorporate Reeves' Batman into their DCEU plans. One of the things that made that movie so great was that it felt separate and could explore much darker themes than maybe the DCEU could. What are your thoughts about the news, and could this mean that we could see Pattinson and Phoenix's Joker square off?
All right, Alan, thanks a lot for sending that in. And yeah, like yesterday and the day before, I started getting inundated with these messages that, did you hear? They're going to make Robert Pattinson's Batman, the DCU Batman. They're going to build it around the DCU, to which I thought, well, that would be because we've said on this show for a while, right? Because the Batman is in my top 5 favorite films of the year still. I love that movie. But because it's so good, a lot of people are like, we'll build the new DC universe around that. But one of the things that we've said on this show a lot, Rob, is that, well, that doesn't work. Like, Matt Reeves created this Batman specifically for a quote unquote real world. That the supernatural does not fit in this world. This world that Matt Reeves has created, there's no room for a Batman or a Wonder Woman or a Cyborg or a Flash, I don't feel. Because the reason it works is because it's so grounded, so gritty. So, again, it sounds weird to say about a comic book movie, but quote unquote real.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yes, of course, Matt back here says he'll take it. But now, apparently we don't have to worry about that because James Gunn has swiftly shot that rumor down. Now, here's where this all came from. This is a tweet here, and we'll bring it up on my screen here,
Okay.
Jonathan. This came from a tweet from Variety, and Variety had put out, a well-placed source tells Variety that James Gunn and Peter Safran are exploring the possibility of incorporating Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson's Batman into their wider DC universe. All right. Well, James Gunn came out and said, there are few reporters that I love more than Adam B. Very, I don't know what the name of the writer is, but truly a good guy. But in this case, he needs to get a new source, as this is entirely untrue. So that coming from the co-CEO of DC Films, that this is completely untrue. So, Rob, I don't know if you heard the same stuff I did. Like, I was getting inundated with stuff the last 24, 48 hours, people saying, Robert Pattinson's Batman is going to be the DCU Batman. James Gunn shoots it down. And I'm glad he shot it down because, look, if James Gunn did do this, it's not what I would have done, but I trust James Gunn and I would have been, okay, let's see what his plan is. But really, and somebody had asked me this on the open mic I did last night. It's like, what do you think about Robert Pattinson's becoming the new DC? I said, no, I just don't see it. again, going back to what we said before, the world that Matt Reeves designed it's like the world that Christopher Nolan designed. There was no room for a Superman or, a Lobo or whatever, or an Aquaman in that particular thing. And Matt Reeves, I think, even doubled down on that, on the quote unquote realism even more. But I know, Rob, you heard about the initial report. Do you think there could have been merit to doing something like that? And what do you think about James Gunn's response?
No, I mean, here's the thing. We now have a studio executive that is used to going on social media, because that's where James Gunn came from. Maybe a little
too comfortable with it.
Maybe, but I do think coming out, they've realized that, I think by debunking all of these things and just coming out, he puts an end to that speculation, which I think is only a good thing, because I think it gets in the way of what it is they're going to do. They're going to make their big announcement. They're going to make a big splash. And I think that you said it yourself very well, that Matt Reeves has created a universe unto itself the same way that Nolan did. And I like that he is exploring facets of the Batman character in a way that we haven't seen done on screen before. And immediately, I want to watch these movies without the distraction of how is this going to fit into the larger. There are no superheroes other than Batman in this universe. I like that. I like that because I can concentrate on the Batman story that's being told. I think because of the MCU, and I love the MCU, this idea that we're asking ourselves, well, how does this fit in some larger story before we've even enjoyed the movie itself, is sort of distracting, and it's robbing us, I think, the fan community as a whole, of sitting down and enjoying a movie for its own sake. Just sitting down and being like, I'm going to pay attention to this film. What is this film showing me? And, I recently rewatched Matt Reeves' Batman, and, I was just taken with the spell it casts. And I'm glad that I'm not going, well, when's Superman going to show up? Because, I think that letting the movie wash over you and seeing what Matt Reeves was doing with the character of Batman makes it fascinating and makes it better. And I think that now that we know that, okay, if they're going to do a Batman trilogy, I can concentrate on the different facets of the Batman character that Matt Reeves is letting us explore. The detective of it. Right. The fact that he's also obsessed about, it's the first time we've seen Batman obsessed about taking care of the city. Like, he even questions at the beginning of the movie, I've been doing this now for 2 years. What have I done? Yeah. Crime is up. And I like the fact that this is the first psychological Batman that we've really got, where literally we're hearing from inside his head. I love that.
The other thing about that I really like, and this is why I got so excited about Joker being a standalone movie, Matt Reeves' Batman being standalone, is that it maintains this idea that Batman is unique in his universe. He is unique in that world, right? That's one of the reasons why I love the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. Like, when Spider-Man was unique in the world. When you get into the shared cinematic universe stuff, like the MCU, which I love the MCU, I love DC, all that kind of stuff. But when you get into that, there are now 17 crime fighters on the roof of every single 7-Eleven patrolling for crime. None of them are unique in the world anymore. And Matt Reeves' thing is that Batman is truly an oddity in his universe, and I love that.
Well, you said the same about Joker. One of the things about Joker is Joker exists as a reflection of Batman in the comics, but the Joker that Joaquin Phoenix gave us is a reflection of us, the audience.
Yes.
And any one of us could have a bad day, or any one of us could be, we're seeing it across the land now. How many Jokers are out there in real life? And if there was a Batman in that universe, it would distract from what really is going on in Todd Phillips' Joker. And that's why seeing somebody who shares your madness, like the Harley Quinn, it's not about the villains that are going to face Batman.
Well, I do.
Yeah, what happens when two people who share the same madness get together?
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? There were rumblings going around that the Robert Pattinson Batman was now going to be entering the DC universe. Well, James Gunn has shot that down. Are you glad? Are you breathing a sigh of relief like I am that he did? Maybe you kind of thought they should. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down here, we're going to take a quick moment here and thank a couple of great sponsors of our video. First of all, Ann and I just had this for dinner the other night. Our friends at HelloFresh and our wonderful folks love learning all sorts of stuff on them at MasterClass. We want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. It is the most festive time of the year, and HelloFresh is here to help make the most of every moment. From holiday hosting to dinners during busy weeknights, you can count on HelloFresh to deliver fresh ingredients and seasonal recipes. Because 'tis the season for saving money wherever we can. HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery store shopping and 25% less expensive than takeout. You can use those savings for holiday gifts or treat yourself. Guys, you know, I've told you before that with Ann and I both being working professionals, finding time to prepare dinner together can be a chore, but HelloFresh has made it easy and fun for us to make our own meals, and most importantly to me, they're delicious. You will actually enjoy making dinner. So right now, go to HelloFresh.com/Campea18 and use the code Campea18 for 18 free meals plus free shipping. Once again, go to HelloFresh.com/Campea18 and use the code Campea18 for 18 free meals plus free shipping. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, MasterClass. MasterClass offers classes on a wide variety of topics, all taught by world-class instructors at the very top of their fields. Each class is broken out into individual video lessons, usually around 10 minutes long. And MasterClass is completely accessible on your phone, the web, smart TV, and available via audio mode to listen to classes on the go. They have over 2,500 video lessons from over 180 of today's most brilliant minds. They're all available anytime, anywhere on iOS, Android, desktop, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Roku. Now, obviously around here on the John Campea Show, we love our movies, so why not learn filmmaking from Jodie Foster, or maybe directing from Ron Howard himself, or the great Neil Gaiman doing his masterclass on the art of storytelling. And you guys have heard me talk about my favorite masterclass, Business Strategy and Leadership by Big Papa Iger himself, Bob Iger, the new and returning CEO of Disney. Guys, I highly recommend that you check it out. This holiday, give the perfect gift of an annual Masterclass membership and get one free. Go to masterclass.com/Campea today. That's masterclass.com/Campea. Terms apply. And thank you to our friends at both HelloFresh and MasterClass for being fantastic services and for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Remember, guys, when you support our sponsors, you're actually supporting us. So if you go down to the description of this video, you'll find links and the promo codes to all the sponsors of today's show. And again, thank you to HelloFresh and to MasterClass. All right, guys, with that down, let's get into main topic number 2, shall we? Rob, what is our second main topic today?
John, our second comes to us from Bryson. It was a bombshell night for DC fans.
Yes,
but
it was.
aside from the Superman news, did you see that James Gunn confirmed that him and Peter Safran have met with Ben Affleck about directing a DC movie, but they're just trying to find the right project? What are your thoughts? Thanks.
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in. And yeah, listen, there was a lot to go over with stuff that came out yesterday. A lot of stuff, absolutely. And we're going to get into a lot of that. But there was also some really, really exciting stuff that came out. And one of the big things of that is Ben Affleck. Now, I have contended for a long time. It's been a beat. It's been a bit since he's gotten into the director's chair. But Ben Affleck was simply, surprisingly to a lot of people, became like one of the hottest directors in Hollywood, culminating really in his film winning Best Picture at the Academy Awards with Argo, which amazing, which also, by the way, won Ben Affleck the Directors Guild Best Director of the Year award. He Gone Baby Gone, it was
Gone Baby Gone, The Town, Argo, and Live by Night.
I mean, The Town is a criminally underappreciated film. And I don't mean underrated, because everybody who's seen it knows it's great, but underappreciated in the fact that not enough people have watched it. It's great. He is a fantastic director. And one of my I was more lamenting. See, Ben Affleck is also my favorite Batman. But when we found out that he was leaving Batman, I lamented more the fact that we weren't going to see him direct the Batman movie. Hey, Matt Reeves did a great job. Full kudos to Matt Reeves. But you're welcome. But I was I was more bummed about him not directing it than I was about him not playing the role anymore. But, we've seen bridges be fixed up with the change of ownership at Warner Brothers. We've seen some bridges being rebuilt. And on Twitter yesterday, as all the other news, which we will get into here in a bit, about the stuff going on was happening, one Twitter user asked James Gunn, could Ben Affleck direct again? Now, let's bring up my screen here, Jonathan, and James Gunn responded simply with this. And I not only might, we actually physically met with Ben Affleck yesterday, him and Peter Safran. We physically met with Ben Affleck yesterday precisely because he wants to direct and we want him to direct. We just have to find the right project, he says. We actually got together and met. We didn't send text messages. We didn't drop a nice little email. No, we met with Ben Affleck because he wants to direct a DC project and we want him to direct a DC project. Hot damn! Hot damn! This is exciting to me because I have wanted, because listen, Ben Affleck not only is a world-class Academy Award-winning, multiple award-winning director in all things, he is particularly a Batman, just psychotic. He loves Batman, but he loves his DC characters as well. He loves his comic book characters. And to get somebody like that to get on board as well. Now, look, I still remember the day when he dropped that little test footage he did with Joe Manganiello, with Joe as Deathstroke. It's like, now, I don't know that they're finally going to do that script. And by the way, I do not expect that Ben Affleck is coming back to play Batman again. Clearly, we know they're going a little bit younger. We know that with Superman, which we'll talk about here in a bit. But I'm going to assume they're going to do that with Batman as well. So I'm not expecting, I'm not, going to get my hopes so high that I'm going to think Ben Affleck's going to come back to play Batman. But oh my God, listen, if you offered me a choice, I'm not kidding. If James Gunn were to give me a call today and say, John, we got a choice here. We can either have Ben play Batman or we can have Ben direct a DC project. As much as I love Ben playing Batman, I want Ben Affleck, because him playing Batman will only influence the movie so much. Directing a DC film, he's got a lot of control over and a lot of influence that he'll have over how good that movie can be. So you're talking about the guy who directed a Best Picture Academy Award winner? Hell yes. This is one of the best things I've ever heard.
For the same studio.
So James Gunn and Peter Safran have wasted no time. And we're going to talk about the Henry Cavill thing here in a bit, but the fact that they met with Ben, that Ben wants to come back now, direct a DC project, and they want him to do it. Now it's just a matter of which project is the best one for you to do, Ben. Listen, a lot of things have me sad today, but that is one of the things that's getting my spirits up a little bit. Anyway, Rob, you hear James Gunn right from his mouth. He wants to direct, and we want him to do it. Now we're just going to find the project for it to happen. Is this a good move? Is this kind of like a redemption arc? And what could you see Ben Affleck directing?
Well, first of all, it's a great idea because, Warner Brothers as a studio traditionally has long-term relationships with filmmakers. All of those 4 movies that Ben Affleck made were Warner Brothers films, beginning with Gone Baby Gone through Live by Night. And he's definitely always been a team player, in terms of, first of all, and another thing about Warner Brothers, when they've developed scripts at Warner Brothers, sometimes scripts have been around for decades before they get made. Yeah. Like Speed Racer, I was doing coverage on Speed Racer scripts in 1990, and the Wachowskis didn't make it until almost 20 years later. So it wouldn't surprise me if his Deathstroke script somehow in a new form is their lead Batman film. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because they've already spent the money. It's already been developed. From all accounts, it's a great, great, great script. I've never heard one thing about that script where anybody said it wasn't great. So you have a Batman script where Batman's already in place, and Joe Manganiello he's older now, and Slade Wilson's supposed to be older.
Yep. He's aged into the role.
And that's what I'm saying. If you've got that, and he's just the kind of casting James Gunn would go for anyway. I could see that happening. And I'm not saying he's going to do that, but why wouldn't Ben Affleck direct a Batman movie. That's what he wanted to do in the first place. He was going to do that in the first place back when he was doing the script. I would say there's a reason why they met with Ben Affleck. Like, they have a plan, but if they've also got their assets, they don't just want to start from scratch. If there's stuff that was on the drawing boards that is viable, I would imagine they're like, we have a script. It's really good. I developed it. I want to direct a movie for you. Now, they're not going to come out and say what it is right away because they're going to announce their plan.
So you think they might already have an idea what they want that project to be?
100%. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's that script in some new form that's going to be rejiggered to fit inside whatever the DC.
Well, that's key, right? Because they can't just come out and take the script and just do it, because now James Gunn has this new universe that things are going to have to fit into, right?
I was just going to tell Rob, but other than his script, you should look beyond that on what he should be directing.
Oh, damn it. I wish I had something here. I'll bring it tomorrow.
Here's the thing about that. I really honestly believe that with this new DC universe, they are going to start from scratch, which doesn't mean they couldn't do a one-off Batman Beyond movie because I think part of their plan is they're going to make Elseworlds movies. They're going to make movies outside of their regular continuity.
It won't be Batman Beyond. Because here's why.
I mean, he's not going to direct Batman Beyond.
No, but I don't think you're going to see a Batman Beyond film right now, because then you would literally have 3 Batmen. You would have, and I don't think.
I agree.
David Zaslav. I mean, I don't think. David Zaslav made that comment there, so we're not going to have multiple Batman.
No. I think you're absolutely right. But I do think that they are going to reestablish the pantheon, call it the Justice League if you want, not just the Trinity, but they're going to go for the entire pantheon of these films, and they're all going to be relative characters that are relative contemporaries, which means, I mean, we'll talk about this later, but I think we're looking at Batman and Superman late 20s to early 30s. I think they're going to work in that arena so the characters can then move up. You know, they'll make 10 years of each character will get a trilogy, and they'll make Justice League films or whatever. That's what I would assume they'll do. So they're going to keep them around the same age. We're not going to get some college age Superman.
No. They're not going to go that young.
No. But I do think, look, it's very exciting. And why not? What do you want to do, Ben?
Bat.
Like Bat. What do you want to do,
What do you do,
Batman?
Batflick? What do you want to do?
I think that I do think that he will be directing the next Batman movie.
See,
in their universe.
I'm not as optimistic as you that it'll end up being Batman, but I think you're right. It is possible. I mean, remember, the things we heard coming out of DC or coming out of Warner Brothers from people who saw a Ben Affleck script, and we saw some very affluent people who made claims that they had seen the Batman script and said it was, remember the one, it's the best Batman script ever written, is what some people were saying about it. I mean, so maybe they could go back and say, let's retool this, let's adapt it so it fits into our new world. But if it weren't Batman, let me throw it over to you. If it's not Batman,
right.
I mean, when you look at Gone Baby Gone, Argo, The Town, it's all character.
Yes.
Who do you think they could give and hand over to Ben Affleck that he could really richen up that way?
Well, I mean, you know, if it's got to be somebody, it's got to be, first of all, I think it's got to be some character that's set in an urban world. A city. I don't think he's.
That's right in his wheelhouse.
Yeah,
though.
I don't think it's going to be Green Lantern. I don't think, unless they were going to do. I mean, maybe they'll make a Nightwing movie or something like that. But I mean, it's a little cliche to say because he's made these 3 crime thriller films, something along those lines.
Which fits right in with the Batman, actually.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like of all the things he's going to do. Plus, what I really love about this idea of Deathstroke or Slade Wilson and Bruce Wayne is that they're kind of mirrors of each other. And the conflict between the two of them, both very wealthy men, both incredible fighters, and Batman would have a disadvantage to Slade Wilson. Like a younger Batman, and here's a formidable foe, and 2 guys going head to head with one another is fascinating to me.
By the way, Katie Jane in the live chat, thank you for this, Katie, brought up a really interesting thing, because the way we're talking, Green Arrow.
Oh.
A Green Arrow directed by Ben Affleck could be really interesting.
You know, I was even saying, I mean, the Mike Grell run of Green Arrow starting the 80s that's set in Seattle with the series The Longbow Hunters, that could be something as Ben Affleck as a comic book fan. That's a really interesting idea.
All right, guys. We could talk about this all day. I love this news. I'm very enthusiastic about it. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? James Gunn has said him, Peter Safran, and Ben Affleck have sat down. Ben wants to direct a DC film. They want him to do it. They're just going to try to figure it out. What do you think? Do you think, like Rob, that they already know what project it's going to be? Do you think maybe they haven't figured it out yet? Do you think it could be a Batman film? Maybe he'll look at something else. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3 here, shall we? Rob, what is our third main topic today?
John, our third main topic comes to us from Vaughn D. Wow, you guys said last week that this week would be full of DC news, and man, you weren't kidding. I'm sure you're getting lots of emails about other stuff, but I wanted to ask specifically about the movie that is actually going to get made. A new Superman movie written by James Gunn. Is this the right project for Gunn to be using his time on? And do you think he could actually direct it himself? Thanks.
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in. And you know, we're gonna talk specifically about my boy Henry Cavill here in the next topic. So we're gonna try to focus this particular part of our conversation just to the movie that is, like you said, is going to get made.
Yes.
This new Superman film. Yeah. So this whole thing, all these dominoes, started with the announcement that came out. I believe it was the Hollywood Reporter, that James Gunn is personally going to write a new Superman film that is going to focus on a younger Superman, and that there could be a possibility he directs himself. This does come from us from the Hollywood Reporter, who wrote the following. James Gunn is making his first big move at DC and will pen a Superman movie. The project will focus on the younger years of the hero. At this stage, Gunn is merely writing the script, though he could potentially direct, depending on where his services are needed at DC Studios, according to insiders. Though this Superman will be on the younger side, he will not be living in Smallville, but rather will be at the Daily Planet, as reporter Clark Kent, according to insiders. And that again comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter. Okay, couple of interesting things here. A few people on Twitter said, man, are we going to get another Superman origin story? And James Gunn said, no.
Yeah, he flat out said it.
Flat out said,
no.
Not a new origin story, right? Like everybody knows Superman's origin story, whether you watch Smallville or Man of Steel or whatever other incarnation's been out there. Everybody knows the origin story. They might reference it, but I like the fact that, because I'll admit, Rob, I got a little bit nervous when I heard a younger Clark Kent. I'm like, oh no, all right, is this going to be a CW Superman? No, meaning no disrespect to the Lois and Clark Superman that's out there right now, or the Superman and Lois one out there. But I mean, I don't want a teen drama angst Superman thing. No, this is going to be a Superman younger. He's already Clark Kent. He's already at the Daily Planet. This will be a little bit earlier in his career, maybe a little bit reminiscent of Matt Reeves' Batman, a little bit earlier in his career, that sort of thing. And here's the key. I think this makes a lot of sense because they've always said, David Zaslav said this a while ago, we're not just trying to put together a plan. We're trying to put together an 8 to 10 year plan. And if you're putting together an 8 to 10 year plan, that means you want to be able to make movies with these characters you're doing right now, at least for the next decade. And so with that in mind, the idea of, okay, you know what, let's truly build this universe, and let's build it with some of these key characters being in their formative years of being the heroes that they are. And I think that's really important to them, that they give themselves that flexibility to grow and build this universe properly from an earlier stage, so they have a clear roadmap ahead of them in ways that they can go. Now, does James Gunn direct this? A couple of things to keep in mind. Just a few days ago, we talked about that James Gunn put out a statement before all these announcements came out that said Superman is the top priority, which I was like, damn right, James. Damn fucking right. Superman is your priority. So he announced that Superman is the building block. He's the cornerstone. Like you build around Superman. And so we talked the other day, Rob, about the fact that in television, you get your biggest, most prominent and important director to come in and do the pilot, because that sets the tone for the entire series. And so what this tells me is that I believe this is going to be the first film I think a Superman film is going to be the first. Now, they didn't say this officially. I might be wrong. I'm just speculating as a fan on this. But it seems to me like Superman will be the first film. And with this first film, they're going to set the tone for what this new DCEU is. And because of that, I do think, even though they're not officially saying it, I do think James will direct it. I think you and I both agreed that their first project, whether it was a Justice League film or something else, that James Gunn will probably be the one to direct that one. I think they will end up making it him. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be Ben Affleck. Who knows? But listen, we'll get into the Henry Cavill part of this in a minute. But they have been tasked with the job, Rob, of not doing a patch job on a broken down shitty car, which is what the status of the DCU has been. It has been a broke down car that has never lived up to its potential, and just trying to slap some crazy glue on it is not going to magically make it better and get it to where they want to go. They want the DCU to be a franchise that can live up to its full potential. And its full potential isn't just as good or as successful as Marvel, but exceeds it. That's what their potential is. And to do that, you got to start over. And I think starting with a younger Superman, younger Batman, get rolling from there, build these characters out over 10 years. Listen, no one wants to hear this, but it's the right move. This is the right move. And we'll get into the Henry Cavill part of it in a bit. But Rob, you hear this, James Gunn writing a new Superman film, a little bit younger on that stage. What do you take away from that?
Well, we've been saying that, and I totally agree with that. And I think, look, I've got no insight into this, but why wouldn't James Gunn direct this? He writes and directs his own movies. I think him and Peter Safran, who've had a working relationship, they've known each other for over 20 years now. It's the perfect thing for the two of them to collaborate on, because what's really interesting is they're the ones that launch. You talked about doing a pilot. This movie is the pilot for whatever the new DC universe is. And with Peter Safran producing and James Gunn directing, writing and directing, you have an auteurist vision and you have a producer that was hired to do just this. And they're going to put forth their movie and they're going to be like, here's what we want. And then what's interesting about that is the pressure is on them to do this first thing. You think they're going to delegate it to other people? I don't think so. I think they're going to say, here's what we're doing. We're the heads of the studio. Here's your Superman. And then they're going to put in place what's going to follow it. Like, this is not going to be like, we're not going to wait 2 or 3 more years for another movie. They're not going to put out Superman in 2025 and then wait. They're going to, I would imagine that they're going to announce actual introductory films. So Ben Affleck's going to do the first movie. They're going to do the first Superman movie. Ben Affleck's going to follow up with a Batman movie. Then they're going to have another movie ready to go that's locked and loaded that I would say is either going to be Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, or Aquaman. Probably not Aquaman, because Aquaman is going to be the last movie of this old regime once Aquaman comes out. But they're going to be locked and loaded for bear. They're going to announce, this slate is going to be announced, and they're going to be ready to go.
By the way, I think this slate is getting announced within the week.
I
Because James Gunn said in his Twitter, he goes, we have some big announcements coming up.
I thought he said after the first of the year.
Did he say after the first
I
of
don't
the
know,
year?
maybe.
Maybe.
Because
you might be right, but I think it's
yeah,
soon.
No,
I think
they're going to
soon.
come out. These people are going to come out. This is not some namby-pamby. This is not what Zaslav wants. This is going to be a big, big move. And it's going to be, I would imagine it's James Gunn. It's going to be Ben Affleck. They're going to have a couple more filmmakers doing stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if Chris McQuarrie is announced as being one of the writer-directors coming on the heels. I don't know what that is, but coming on the heels of Mission Impossible 8, Dead Reckoning Part 2. I know he wants to go do more stuff with Tom Cruise, but even then, yeah, man, go do a superhero movie at DC. Cool. I'm going to go to space. You write that. I got to go with Doug Liman to space. So I would imagine that they're going to line up probably 5 filmmakers that we're all going to go, oh my God. And the thing is, these movies are not going to be $200 million movies. They're going to be $135, $145 million movies. They're going to make these movies for a price and show that it can be done.
There's something interesting you brought up there was the probably the pressure for them to do the first one themselves, because we have seen franchises that got off to a bad start that instantly killed the franchise. We go back to the old Aragon. Remember the Dragon movie, John Malkovich?
Hell, The Mummy.
Was that? That was the one I was going to bring up next, was right? The Mummy. they had this plan. They put out these big pictures of all these actors, Javier Bardem and Russell Crowe and Johnny Depp and Tom Cruise and Sophia Boutella all stand there. Oh, we're going to do this dark universe. The problem was they put out the first movie. By the way, I didn't think the first Mummy movie was completely awful.
No.
I thought it had some redeeming qualities, but still, it's a movie that fell on its face, and all of a sudden, all these grand plans were gone. The pressure is on, because whether the first movie is Superman or not, which it looks like it will be, but even if it isn't, whatever that first movie is, you damn well better make sure. It doesn't have to win the Academy Award, but you damn well better make sure that you knock it out of the park, because we've seen what happens with franchises that fall on their face coming out of the blocks.
And I also think, with James Gunn tweeting about the 44th anniversary of Superman the movie, one of the things about Superman, everyone's like, oh, is he going to make it like Suicide Squad or Guardians of the Galaxy? I don't think so. I think James Gunn is a classicist, and he's going to look back, and meaning he's into classics. And the reason he brought up Donner's Superman is because you meet Superman going to Metropolis for the first time, establishing his career. But I think what James Gunn is going to do is going to make it more, imagine a younger version of George Reeves from The Adventures of Superman from the 50s, who's a badass, a really capable guy that is going to be a great reporter. Because Clark Kent himself is a great reporter. He's not going to be the Nebuchadnezzar Clark. He's going to be the George Reeves. He's going to be a young cub go-getter reporter, but he's going to be really good at his job. And he's going to be a badass both in his life and in his superhero life.
All right, guys, the question is for you again. This is something we could talk about all day. What do you think about this? James Gunn, the new co-CEO and chairman of the brand new DC Studios, has announced he's going to be writing that first Superman himself. I will be surprised if he doesn't also end up directing it, but we'll find out as we move forward. How do you guys feel about this? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down into the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys, with that down, let's move into our fourth and final main topic here today. I've been so excited up till now. Rob, what is our fourth main topic today?
Should we play some sad music?
I think so. Think of some rainy, sad piano. Think Incredible Hulk, the TV show, as his banner is walking away. Dun, 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 dun. That's in your head.
This comes to us from Jesse Price. Hey, John and crew. I don't know if you saw.
Don't do this ASMR.
Henry Cavill posted on his Instagram saying he had spoken to James Gunn and Peter Safran, and they told him he was no longer going to be playing Superman in the DC universe. What are your thoughts? Bring on the filthy. Thanks.
It is crazy how many messages I got yesterday via text, email, social media, whatever, saying, I'm sorry for your loss. How many people wrote to me, checking in with welfare checks, checking with me saying, Johnny, you all right? Are you doing okay? When the news came out, and I was sitting down, it's funny because I was sitting down in the movie theater yesterday with Ann to watch Violent Night. By the way, finally saw Violent Night, had a lot of fun with it. And my last check of the phone before the movie starts, and I turned off, it's like, oh my God. And then I had to put my phone away. I was a little distracted watching Violent Night. All right. Henry Cavill, it's been a roller coaster lately, man. It's been a roller coaster the last couple of years. But my favorite Superman of all time, Henry Cavill, is no longer going to be Superman. It is now official. It is done. I'm going to read, you can bring up my screen here, Jonathan. I'm going to read off what Henry wrote on his Instagram. He said the following. I've just had a meeting with James Gunn and Peter Safran, and it's sad news, everyone. I will, after all, not be returning as Superman. After being told by the studio to announce my return back in October. Now remember, this is before James Gunn and Peter Safran took over. After being told by the studio back in October prior to their hire, this news isn't the easiest, but that's life. The changing of the guard is something that happens. I respect that. James and Peter have a universe to build, and I wish them and all involved with the new universe the best of luck and the happiest of fortunes. For those who have been by my side through the years, I feel like he's talking to me, Rob. For those who have been by my side through the years, we can mourn for a bit, but then we must remember, Superman is still around. Everything he stands for still exists, and the examples he sets for us are still there. My turn to wear the cape has passed, but what Superman stands for will never, or never will. It's been a fun ride with you all, onwards and upwards. Did we expect anything less but pure class from Henry Cavill? Making that announcement, he was direct. He goes, my time as Superman is over, but Superman endures. And hey, guys, these new guys, they have a universe they got to build. And Superman still persists and exists. Now, on top of all that, it gets kind of interesting because this comes to us from the folks over at the Hollywood Reporter, because James Gunn adds a little bit more color to this. Cavill's post came just as Gunn tweeted that he will be writing the new Superman film set to focus on the seminal DC superhero's younger years. This is where it gets key. Cavill could be in the mix to play a different DC character down the road. James Gunn wrote, Peter and I have a DC slate ready to go, which we couldn't be more over the moon about.
Read that again.
Peter and I have a DC slate ready to go.
Okay, dude.
Yeah, ready to go.
Now.
That's why big announcements are coming. Big surprises are coming. DC slate ready to go, which we couldn't be more over the moon about. We'll be able to share some more exciting information about our first project at the beginning of the new year, which is exactly what you said. Thank you for that, for correcting me on that. Gunn wrote, the filmmaker added that he and Safran, quote unquote, had a great meeting with Henry and were big fans, and we talked about a number of exciting possibilities to work together in the future. Now, before we get into Henry specifically, I want to point out one of the things that I love about this story and the last story is that James Gunn and Peter Safran did not send Ben Affleck a text to say, hey man, we're in charge now and we'd love to work with you sometime. No. James Gunn and Peter Safran set a time, set a meeting, set aside time, and went and met with Ben Affleck. What I love about this is that James Gunn and Peter Safran aren't the types of guys that said, send my assistant over to let Cavill know that we're moving on from him as Superman. They didn't send him a text message. They didn't send him an email or a memo. They said, no, this is Superman. We're going to go and sit down and meet with him face to face because he deserves no less. And they set aside the time and they went and they sat down and met. I love that about the way James and Peter are saying, this is how we're going to run this studio. We're going to do it properly. We're going to meet face to face. We're going to look people in the eye. We're going to tell them what we want, what we hope to do, what we'd love to do, what we can't do. And we're going to do that face to face. I love that. I love working with people like that. So I love that. It's also very exciting to see James Gunn say, oh, not only do we meet with him to let him know officially that we plan for a brand new DC universe, that means we've got to move on. But we have ideas for you to still be in the DC universe. After all, it looks like the standard operating assumption now amongst most fans is that Jason Momoa from Samoa may very well be Lobo. I mean, there was that cryptic message that Momoa put out a little while ago saying, I just got news that I am so excited about. It's the most exciting news of my life. I can't wait to share it with you. And we're still kind of waiting on that. But a lot of people are speculating that he might be Lobo. Whether that's true or not, we'll find out apparently very early in the new year. But I love the idea that they went to Henry and said, okay, you're awesome though, and we would love to still work with you. And we think there's still a place in DC, but since we are starting over, we got to rebuild. All right. As anybody other than Mama Cavill, as the world's biggest Henry Cavill is Superman fan, I don't mind giving myself that title. Fight me. As the world's biggest Henry Cavill as Superman fan, I am saddened by this, but I'm okay with it. Rob, one of the sermons that we preach on the show all the time is that the story comes first. The universe, as you often say, that your movie universe comes first.
Well, the characters and the stories have to come first. They build the universe.
Right. Well, but the characters have to serve, the stories, and, we've been using the analogy for a long time that, look, DC, we all agree, whether you're a huge DC fan or a moderate DC fan, we all agree that the DC cinematic universe, as it has been, has never lived up to its potential. We
Never.
all agree on that, right? I don't think anybody disagrees with that. We all agree on that statement. This is a universe that has never lived up to its potential.
It's funny because you and I have been staunch defenders of Man of Steel.
Forever.
And people have always said that they're poo-pooing it. Now everyone's like, I'm not going to watch any new DC movies without Henry Cavill.
You've been shouting down that you think Man of Steel sucks forever. But anyway, that being said, for this cinematic franchise to live up to its potential, the analogy I've used this whole time, and it's not a perfect analogy, but it applies. You can't fix it up.
No.
At this point, this is not a cinematic universe or
It's a
franchise.
teardown, man.
It's a teardown. It is a complete rebuild. We are past the point that you can just slap on some crazy glue, put on a Band-Aid, change a little thing, just tune it up, and it'll suddenly miraculously be on par success-wise with Marvel. It's not going to happen, guys. And as the world's biggest Henry Cavill is Superman fan, a complete rebuild means a great rebuild. If you got a house falling apart, but man, that guest bathroom on the second floor, that's a perfect guest bathroom. It's in great shape. Let's not rebuild the house. Let's just fix it. No. The house has got to come down. And when you got to rebuild, sometimes that means there are some pieces to your puzzle that are good pieces, but if you're going to rebuild, you got to rebuild. And if DC is ever going to truly get to its potential, it's not going to be from a tune-up. It's going to be from a rebuild, period. In sports, Rob, we've seen this a lot. Your Seattle Seahawks have been through this. In sports, a lot of times, fans go, when teams have to enter into a rebuilding year or a couple of years, and all of a sudden they trade away a bunch of their great players for draft picks or whatever, and fans go, no, what are you doing? You're trading away. These guys are great players. True, but that's because if it's a good team, management realizes if we want to get back to the Stanley Cup or to the World Series or to the Super Bowl or to the NBA championships, whatever it is, if we want to get back there, we can't do it with the way the team is. And then a couple of years later, the good teams that do go through those phases, they're playing for championships and advanced playoff spots again. And so I know everybody was expecting me today to go on this big, long, angry, sad rant about the fact that my boy, the greatest Superman of all time, Henry Cavill, is no longer going to be Superman. And I do lament that. But to be consistent, if you're going to rebuild this universe and have it be up to its potential, you got to start fresh. You got to have a clean slate. You got to take off all the old restraints and all the old handcuffs and all the other things that you had, and you got to be able to push it aside and start fresh. Maybe there's a few details you can carry over. Maybe there are. But for the most part, you got to go. And listen, I will always look back. I wrote on Henry Cavill's Instagram last night. I said, listen, I understand that the changing of the guard means a new Superman is needed. I understand that. But it just makes me appreciate him even more. It makes me appreciate Man of Steel even more. So I get it. It is what it is. But if DC's ever going to live up to its potential, it's got to be done. Rob, you heard about this news. You instantly got on social media, started talking about it. What's your thoughts today?
Well, look, I think you're exactly right. I mean, the problem is this, that like these films never live up to their potential. Even Man of Steel, we always talk about a movie needs to gross 3 times what it cost to break even. Man of Steel,
Generally speaking.
but Man of Steel was a $225 million movie that only made $670 million or something. I like the movie a lot, but it didn't live up to its potential, and it didn't live up to what the studio hoped it would live up to, which is another big problem. The studio never got the return that they wanted on any of these DCEU movies, with the exception of Aquaman and Joker, which earned a lot of money. We're getting another Aquaman movie, and the studio will be happy with that. What they're going to do is they're going to have a unified field theory moving forward, where look, it would not surprise me if they define, okay, we're going to approach the DC universe as a universe. There is the cosmic area where you've got everything from the Green Lantern Corps to whatever other Thanagar, where Hawkman is from. You've got the New Gods. You've got Apocalypse and New Genesis. They're like, we got the universe, the DC universe. We have Earth. We have all of these places. It would not surprise me if they're going to have parallel development amongst all these groups and put
right.
them on a collision course. Because why not? Wouldn't that be cool? Because you've got basically Star Wars and Game of Thrones out in space combined, if you want to do that. I mean, we saw Darkseid in the Zack Snyder's Justice League, but wouldn't it be cool if they did a New Gods movie? They've been talking about doing a New Gods movie. I don't think that Ava DuVernay is going to come back and do that. But you've got all of this stuff out there, and they're going to develop it all concurrently. Because James Gunn was doing the same thing over at Marvel with his cosmic characters before he got derailed. So why wouldn't they? And they're not just going to, they're going to have big plans, and they're going to be big and bold. And what they're going to do is they're going to curate this, man. You're going to get the best creators. They're all going to be on the same page. They're going to know what they're doing. And James Gunn and Peter Safran, unlike even Kevin Feige, they're filmmakers. I mean, Kevin Feige only produced Marvel movies. James Gunn has made other kinds of films. So has Peter Safran. Yeah. So they know how to work with talent, and they know how to make films. They're actually, for the very first time, you have two filmmakers running the asylum. And they're going to pick the very best crazy people to come work with them because they're going to have a team of people that they like, they know, and respect, and they're going to go after them, and they're going to have carte blanche to do it. The thing is, they're being given a lot of rope. I don't think any filmmakers or any studio executives in the history of Hollywood have been given the keys to the kingdom the way they have here. And there's a lot, I mean, it sounds fun, but the pressure that these two guys are
unbelievable.
It's unbelievable because they're being given, and it's like, okay, guys, you have a 4-year contract. That's what you got. You got 4 years. You might want to have a 10-year plan. That's great. But you got 4 years, which means how many movies in that 4 years are you going to get done? And what's the return? David Zaslav's going to be like, bring me the money. Show me the money.
You know, I was thinking about that whole stuff about return. I think the first real sign, look, to me, you know, I think Man of Steel, I think Zack Snyder's Man of Steel is the most underrated comic book film ever made. I love this film. I love it more and more every time I watch it. But a surprising amount of people did not feel the same way I did about it, which I'll never understand, but that's fine. All film is subjective. To me, though, the real warning sign that something wasn't right with the way that the DCU was presenting itself to the audience was Batman versus Superman, a movie I like very, very much. I like Batman versus Superman, both versions. I like that movie very much. But the reality is this, and I said this before, I said this when the movie came out, I said long before the movie came out, I said this. You do a movie called Batman versus Superman. Now go back, take yourself back in time a little bit before that movie ever came out or whatever. You do a movie called Batman versus Superman. That movie, in its sleep, should have challenged for being a $2 billion film.
Oh, yeah.
Not necessarily cross the $2 billion mark, but in its fucking sleep. A movie called Batman versus Superman, that is a movie that should be challenging the $2 billion mark. In its sleep. Pencil sketch animation should have challenged for a $2 billion mark. This is a movie that did not hit the $1 billion mark.
You know, I recently rewatched it because I've been watching my 4K discs. I really like the film. That movie, I like it, but you know what? It is a major bummer. That movie begins with the destruction of Metropolis, Bruce Wayne's own business.
One of the best openings to a comic movie ever.
It's great.
Ever.
But the whole movie, it begins with the destruction of Metropolis, a bunch of people that work for Bruce Wayne dying, Bruce Wayne staring at the sky at Superman, pissed off and angry, and it ends with a dead Superman. And Doomsday. That whole movie is dark, oppressive. Batman's torturing criminals. There's nothing in that movie. If you're a parent and you take your 8-year-old kid to see a Superman Batman movie and that's the movie you watch, the reason it didn't make $2 billion is because it's a major bummer. When you watch that movie, you are not elated.
But I think
I like it.
Yeah, I really like this film. But here's the thing. What it showed us was, remember we talked a little bit earlier about the pressure on James Gunn for the first DC movie because we've seen films come out of the gate and not connect with the audience. What the results of Batman versus Superman showed us, despite the fact that I thought it was a really good movie, and again, I think one of the greatest openings to a comic book movie, it ranks right up there with the Nightcrawler attack on the White House for X-Men 2 as one of the greatest openings to a comic book movie ever. But it showed us that movie underperforming the way it did, showed us that on a fundamental level, out of the gate, they did not connect with the audience. There was,
Right.
and we can do volumes about maybe why they didn't connect, what parts failed to connect with them, whatever. But we saw very quickly that they did a Batman versus Superman movie that did not make even $1 billion when it should have challenged for $2 billion. And I think ever since, that is when a lot of people, including me, started saying, maybe they should reboot, because they weren't able to connect with the audience. And we've gone several more years hence. They've had a couple of big wins. The Wonder Woman movie was a big win. Aquaman was clearly a big win. But it's just time. They've got to reestablish themselves with the audience again.
And you know what else? Another, I mean, this is Monday morning quarterbacking, but I find that movie fascinating to watch. We, the audience, love Batman and Superman. They hated each other in that movie. There's no, like, it's like we love these characters, and they
Until they brought up Martha.
Well, yeah, but you watch them, and there's no, that movie, as much as I enjoy the tone of it and it's cool and all that, it is not fun. There's not a moment where you're like, this is not fun. I feel bad watching this movie, and when it was over, it's like Superman's dead, you know, and everybody's sad, and Zod's dead, half of Metropolis, how many tens of thousands of people died, and you're coming out of that movie going, well, it was cool, but I feel like I need to take a shower.
I think the whole point, though, is that the whole reason I bring up the thing about Batman versus Superman, whatever, is just showing again that putting on some spackle and a Band-Aid isn't what's going to bring DC to its full potential. It's time to go back to a page one, clean slate start. And unfortunately, that does mean Henry's got to get replaced as Superman, because you need a new Superman to start a new world. Otherwise, you're just bringing the same baggage over. And it sucks, but it is what it is.
I think if James Gunn makes his Superman movie, you are going to be smiling at least 10 times because of things that happen in that movie. There's going to be moments throughout the film, from the beginning, the middle, and the end, and you're going to be left with that triumphant flying into orbit with the sun coming, and you're going to have a huge smile on your face.
I believe it. I believe it. At least I hope so, because whoever's going to be the new Superman, best of luck, dude, because you got some shoes to fill, buddy. You've got some shoes to fill. So I don't envy the sucker who's going to step in and play Superman, because you got Henry Cavill-sized shoes to fill. And Henry, you're my Superman. Thank you. I mean, look, let me fanboy out for a second. Just let me be a dribbling fanboy for a second. Henry, you made me believe a man could fly. Going back to the Christopher Reeve movie slogan, you made me believe a man could fly. The moment he puts his fist down on the ground and the stones start to raise and you see first flight, Henry Cavill made me feel the awe and wonder of a superhero movie again, where maybe I'd started to become a little desensitized. Maybe all of us have to a degree. Henry Cavill's portrayal as Superman made me feel the awe and wonder of what a superhero movie could be again. The way that he was somebody who struggled with what it meant to do right, while also struggling to find out who he was, which I think it was, in a way, a superhero film, a superhero character that all of us could relate to, despite the fact that he was an alien god in many ways. But our struggle of how do I do what is right, and how do I really find out who I am? It's just something that Henry Cavill brought to life in such expressive, fantastic ways. He really owned this character. So Henry, for myself and a lot of other fans, maybe not all of them, that's fine. But for myself and a lot of other fans, thank you for giving us the Superman that you did. Thank you for penciling this chapter of the story of the Man of Steel. And it's always going to be a great chapter that we look back on. And again, whoever comes in and fills has to be the new Superman. Good luck. We'll be cheering for you. All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Maybe you're happy Henry. Not everybody liked Henry Cavill as Superman. I hear it all the time. That's fine. Maybe you're heartbroken like me, but maybe you're heartbroken, but get it. You're hopeful for the future. I'll tell you what, as sad as I am today, I am more hopeful for the future of DC today than I have been in a long time. How do you guys feel about it? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, we are now going to open up the super chat, because I'm sure you guys have a lot to say about Ben Affleck directing a DC film, Henry out as Superman, maybe. Who could Henry be if he did come back? And I also wrote on Henry's Instagram and said, don't lie to us. You're going to be the new Batman, aren't you? Obviously, I don't really think he's going to be the new Batman, but who do you think Henry Cavill could come back and play in the DC universe? Whatever you guys feel, use the super chats right now to send that in, and Rob and I will address that in this next part of the show. Now, before we get to that, though, we want to take a break here and thank two other great sponsors of our show. My ass feels fine because of the folks at MeUndies and, of course, my mobile service phone provider, Mint Mobile. The holidays are officially upon us, and it's time to start celebrating. Do your thing and holiday your way with MeUndies. Because it's the most wonderful time of the year to try MeUndies, because they're currently offering a very merry deal. Get 20% off your first purchase with free standard shipping and free returns when you go to MeUndies.com/Campea. Guys, you know I've been wearing MeUndies for a while now because I used to be like everybody else. I would go to the big store, buy the biggest box of the most generic underwear, and I thought that was good enough. But ever since I started MeUndies and started wearing the most comfortable underwear I have ever worn in my life, I swear on this Christmas season, I will never go back. So get your holiday shopping finished early and start making time for yourself with the new MeUndies holiday collection. Their undies, long underwear, and sleepwear are made out of the softest, most supple fabric you've ever felt and are guaranteed to bring you comfort and joy to all of your loved ones. Shop their classic plaid prints for a traditional, picture-perfect style, or get festive with their adventurous limited edition sweater prints. Available in sizes extra small all the way through 4XL, MeUndies has what you need to make all of your favorite people smile this holiday season, all in one convenient place. So to get 20% off your first order, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/Campea. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. This holiday season, the best deal in wireless can only be found at Mint Mobile. Right now, when you switch to Mint Mobile and buy any 3-month plan, you get another 3 months for free. Mint Mobile lets you order and activate from home with eSIM, while saving tons on phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I've been using Mint Mobile long before this holiday deal, and I have to say it is the perfect time to switch. I have absolutely loved using Mint Mobile, and like I've told you guys many times, I am now spending less than 1/3 of what I used to spend under one of the other major mobile carriers. And now with the whole buy 3 months, get 3 months free deal, it's even better. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily and effortlessly with eSIM. Or if you need a new device, for a limited time, get 6 months of free service when you buy a select device and plan. So guys, for a limited time, buy any 3-month Mint Mobile plan and get 3 more months for free by going to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to MeUndies and, of course, Ryan Reynolds and Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's now turn it over to you. I'm sure there's still a lot of stuff to be talked about with all the DC news here. So, Rob, what do we got in our super chats here?
John, first we have some support. Remy Alestra sends in 1, 2, 3, 4 super chats.
Wow, Remy, thank you so much just to be supportive. Thank you, dude.
Ostracized Child sends in some support.
Thank you guys very, very much.
Seconds from Disaster says, what up, Campea crew? Hey, John, just so you know, they have a U2 full band Funko Pop set at Walmart for around $45.
Yeah, I'll probably be getting that. By the way, I also heard some really exciting news. If you've been I go to Las Vegas a lot. If you've been around Las, you see they're building that huge dome.
Yeah.
It's a concert venue. And it's opening up in 2023, and they've already announced the very first concert, and it's going to be U2.
Wow.
So you know I'm going to be there for that. So thanks for that, man. Thanks for the update. All right, what's next?
Jambi Gator says, I'm disappointed with Cavill out. We've seen a young Superman many times. I would have wanted an adult Superman at max strength. If Gunn is such a good writer, wouldn't he be able to write a great story with Henry Cavill?
Okay, here's the problem. You're bringing over the baggage that the old DCU has. Look, the reality is this. There's become a disconnect between the DCU and the wider movie-going audience. And if you're not going to fix that if you just keep putting the same faces in there. Of course he could write a good movie. The problem with DC hasn't been their ability to put out what I believe to be some good movies. Suicide Squad's fantastic. But nobody went to go see it, because a lot of people hated the first. I actually liked the first Suicide Squad movie. Sue me. But a lot of people hated it. There was that baggage attached, blah, blah, blah. Gone, right? What's good? The key here is they want to build this Superman over the course of a decade. So they're gonna develop and start, and we as the audience are gonna go along on this journey with them. Could they have made a good Henry Cavill Superman movie? Of course they could have. Would the audiences have come out in droves? See, I don't know why we as film fans just think, well, just keep doing it and eventually everybody will get on board with it. How many times do we have to see in history? That's not how it works. At least very, very rarely does that work. Best course of action here is just start again. And that's what they're going to do.
Well, also, when people talk about young Superman, he's not going to be Superboy.
No. He's already working at the Daily Planet, just younger.
And I think that if you look at what Matt Reeves did with Batman, we're looking at Batman. I mean, you know what's really funny about that movie? When Batman walks into the first crime scene, when the mayor is killed, and there's hundreds of people in that crime scene. And when you watch it, you're like, you've never seen Batman walk into a crowd. Like slowly walk through a bunch of cops and go to the crime scene and look at it. That was a very different look. And I think what we're going to get is what does it mean to be Superman when you're juggling your life? And there's going to be a fun factor to it where it's not going to be just Superman flying around fighting a villain. He's sure going to have a villain, but we're also going to see, what does it mean to be Superman? Like, what does it mean to live like Superman?
Yeah, and look what happened with the Batman when you clean slated him. You went outside of the DCU, right? Took him outside of the DCU. This is a clean slate Batman, no baggage from the DCU. Right. A Batman movie with Twilight Boy, with no other baggage, without Superman, made almost as much money as Batman versus Superman, the movie. It made over $770 million with a clean slate Batman. That is the kind of potential.
More money than Man of
Couldn't
Steel
you have
too.
done the same with Henry Cavill? I mean, he wasn't really the bad part of what happened with the DCU.
But it's the association. People already look at the DCU and they associate. There's a disconnect with the general audience. You just keep the same actors in there. That's all the audience is going to see.
But under a Superman movie with a different theme where it's happier and stuff like that, you could completely change.
But that's just trying to put a Band-Aid on it. Like, if
but
you want to
Henry
reassess
I
yourself
believe-
with the audience, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Henry Cavill wasn't the bad part of what
I
happened.
agree. I
He's
absolutely
actually my
agree.
Superman too. So I just saying.
Well, then you go over there and build PCs with him.
I'm just saying.
But look,
I
again,
feel like
go
he's
to
being
Batman,
punished.
right? Ben Affleck was not the problem. Ben Affleck was a great Batman.
I don't
He's
think
not
any
the
of the
problem.
actors were the
but
problem.
what happened was you kept having him in the movies. The audience associated this. You take him out, as much as I loved him, you put in Twilight Boy, you put in even Robert Pattinson. That movie is a solo Batman movie that's practically rated R. You can't take a lot of kids to go see that movie. And it still made almost $800 million on its own.
More money than Man of Steel.
Yeah, more money than Man of Steel.
And
You got to change it over. The
and look,
audience.
Even the color palette of Henry Cavill's Superman uniform is going to be completely different. They're going to make a bright Superman. The skies are going to be sunny. It's not going to be raining all the time.
Now, I'm not saying an example doesn't exist. So I'm asking a legitimate question here. This is not a rhetorical question. I'm asking legitimately. Can we point to an example in Hollywood history when a franchise wasn't working and they didn't like restart it, reboot it, retool it, and then all of a sudden became a big, massive hit and everybody loved it? I mean, I'm sure one or two examples. I just can't think of any off the top of my head.
And retain the same actors.
And retaining the same actors. Just eventually the audience warmed up.
Star Trek the Motion Picture versus Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan.
Different. It already existed for a bunch of years before that. That wasn't the beginning, right? The Star Trek the Motion Picture wasn't the beginning. So I'm sure a couple exist. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. Anyway.
But yeah, it's a tough one.
All right, what's next?
Dumbrodor says Threads was mentioned the other day. Oh, that's the nuclear war. It's the British equivalent of the day after.
All right.
Threads was mentioned the other day, so I read the plot on Wikipedia. Oh my God, it's super dark. Forgot the ozone layer protects us from the sun's UV rays. Yeah, dude. Threads. Oh man, it's so dark.
Yeah, I still have not seen. I didn't even hear about it until you brought that up the other day. But
Loan you my disc.
Kind of want to check it out. All right, what's next?
Suthius says, I usually take my 12-year-old Saturday nights around 10 to see a movie. I don't want to come home around 2:30 after Avatar 2, but I also don't want another dim screen. So 10:20 p.m. IMAX it is. Why so long, James?
Yeah, listen, Avatar is the poster child now for why movies need to have intermissions again. 3 hours and 21 minutes. I don't mind long movies, but there's
And they're in water.
Like I have to, part of my movie going experience is having a soda, right? I have a Diet Coke as I'm watching a movie. I am not going to be able to watch this entire movie. I'm going to have to miss some of the movie because at some point I am going to have to go out and use the bathroom. And I don't have a weak bladder by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm just going to have to accept that I'm going to miss 2 minutes of the movie. But as to why is it so long, can't answer that till I see it. And I am seeing it this afternoon. Because we may come out of this movie and go, man, this movie needed to be 10 minutes longer. Or I might come out and say, yeah, it needed to be 20 minutes. But we'll find out. We'll find out when I see it. Ray won't be saying that. Ray won't be saying this movie needed to be
If
longer.
Ray falls asleep, you got to surreptitiously take a picture of him.
Go ahead. Do whatever you want. Just
I can't pull up my
prepare.
camera.
I will fall asleep today.
All right, what's next?
Al Renshaw says, John, Ray, how much money will Avatar 2 make? Ray, $8 billion. John, I don't think you understand how this works.
8 billion. What was it though? Because he said that
It was
again.
for,
It was funny.
what's that? We were talking about the limited screens on that one.
The Father Stew movie.
The
Oh,
whale.
that's right. Yeah,
And you're like, how much did Father Stew make?
per screen. 8 million. 8 billion.
8 billion.
Yeah, I'm not sure you understand how this works. All right, it will be interesting to see how much this movie, because they're still projecting like the 165 to 175, maybe $180 million range. Some people think it's going to be over 200 million. It's going to be interesting. At 3.5 hours though, it's going to be tough to get enough screenings across 200 million. But we'll see. All right, what's next?
Josh Becker says, Rob, your stream last night was really good. Oh, thank you. I covered a lot of this material last night on the stream.
As it was breaking, yeah.
I jumped on. Sam Fisher says, just started a new D&D game set in Eberron, playing as a Raven Shifter Ranger who is known as Last of the Unkindness because his family is missing in Siri.
More honestly, guys, I love video games and all that kind of stuff too. Nothing beats getting together 3, 4, 5 friends, sitting down at the same table with some dice and actually playing an in-person role-playing game.
You've got a great table to do
Oh,
that.
yeah, I've got a great table for it. But it's seriously so fun. It is so much more social, and it just adds to it so much. Follow his example there and get yourself into a D&D. It doesn't even have to be D&D. There's other role-playing games too that you can play, but get yourself into a gaming group because you won't regret it. It's a lot of fun. All right, what's next?
Mr. Holbrook says, with everything going on with DC, do you think the chances of Flash, could you scooch that up a little bit?
Yeah.
Other way.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Chances of Flash goes to HBO Max increase?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't either.
No, they truly believe in that film. They think they've got a really, really good movie on their hands. They think the audiences are going to like the movie. So this thing is definitely going to be in theaters. They've been very, very clear about that. So yeah, no chance it goes straight to HBO Max.
Agreed.
All right, what's next?
Ryan Lohner says, I knew I should have told the monkey paw more than I wish Henry Cavill would be in Black Adam.
Yeah, you should have elaborated on that
Yeah,
a little
you
bit
know.
more. Because sure enough, he was back in Black Adam, and I love that post-credit
Oh,
scene.
yeah.
It's great, but by the way, I think this pretty much seals the fate on Black Adam 2 as well.
I do too.
I think that's
Black
done.
Adam and Shazam are done.
Yeah. Oh, so
Well,
fun.
I think more than that, I was talking about this with Rob earlier. It was like The Rock almost seemed like he was going to be that kind of creative force for the DC universe. At least that's the way he was talking and hyping up how he's going to be fighting Cavill and they're going to be rebuilding this. So more than just the Black Adam isn't coming back. The Rock, he's not going to be obviously shaping the future of DC.
No.
I mean, and again, look, Dwayne Johnson, I've said it a million times, he is, other than Ryan Reynolds, good Canadian kid, Dwayne Johnson is my second favorite movie star. I love seeing Dwayne Johnson in movies. I love Dwayne Johnson from all the way the WWE days till now. But you've put yourself front and center of this Black Adam movie. So we mentioned this the other day. You've got to take ownership of the failure of it. And look, you can do creative math all you want and say, oh, actually, we made profit. Well, no, you haven't. But you can say that all you want. Fact of the matter is, your movie, and Taylor, you can double check this for me, the box office for Black Adam, your movie didn't even cross $400 million. Your movie couldn't even crack $400 million. It might at some point, but even if it did, you barely are going to cross $400 million. So you can talk about creative accounting. Oh, blah. Well, the first Captain America movie, that was before the comic book movies were ruling the box office. They laid all that groundwork now. Now you're in Morbius territory. What do you got there, Taylor?
389.
So you haven't even got to 400 million.
And Warner Brothers takes home maybe 40-50% of that.
And again, this is another sign of the disconnect between the current iteration of DC and the audience. Marvel can put out a very divisive Thor: Love and Thunder, and look that one up for me. That one crossed $700 million, if I'm not mistaken. $700 million for what some people consider to be a really crappy movie. I had fun with it, but a lot of people thought that was a really crappy movie. You're Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You're the biggest movie star in the world. And you got this superhero film. Granted, not everybody knows who Black Adam is, but you couldn't cross $400 million. Again, that is another symptom showing that this universe needs to be rebooted.
Yes.
Because the audience just doesn't trust the DC films right now. What do you find there?
760.
$760 million. That movie made as much as the Batman. And a lot of people thought it was crappy. That's the difference. The audience trusts Marvel films.
And when
they do not trust DC films.
Yeah, you talk about this fatigue. I mean, sure, they're not making $1 billion, but by no metric is $750 million on the fourth movie of a franchise a bad result. And what do they make? Doctor Strange made over $900 million.
Yeah.
I mean,
that also has a lot of people that didn't like it all that much. I enjoyed it, but a lot of people didn't.
And you're talking about movies 28 and 29 in the MCU.
And again, it just shows again that generally speaking, good movie or bad, the audience generally trust. I'm not talking about the geek circles.
Right.
I'm not talking about those of us who make up 7%. I'm talking about the average general moviegoers. They see that a Marvel film's coming out, they believe in it. They trust it. DC, not so much.
I just wish the people that watch our show would put themselves in the business mindset of think about it from a studio perspective. What would you spend your money on? I mean, be realistic about it and try and think of the decisions that are being made are being made by what we just said, their pocketbooks and how much money they're taking in. So often that I'm a knee-jerk fanboy reactionist. I don't like it when I don't get what I want and I bitch and moan and complain online. But if I stop and think about it and go, this is a business, they do have to make money. It ain't show friends.
Yeah, I share a really bad take that in our live chat. One of our viewers writes, "But John, Thor had the Disney machine advertising. Of course, it's going to make more money." Bad take from John. I don't give a shit. Dwayne Johnson's the biggest movie star in the world. He has 300 million followers on social media,
which he uses to promote his work.
Yeah. He's been promoting this thing for years. It doesn't matter that the Disney marketing machine was behind it. It matters that everybody knew Black Adam was coming out. Everybody knew it was coming out. But people did not choose to go see it. Twice as many trust the Marvel brand more, and they went to go see it. It is what it is, because we can go over every single one. You can go over Shazam was a fantastic movie. It didn't even make I don't think it made $400 million.
No, it didn't.
The Suicide Squad, fantastic movie. It tanked. I mean, you go all the way down the road. It wasn't until they tried a fresh slate, a clean slate with the Batman, $770 million. I mean, out of all their films they did, they had one that crossed the $1 billion.
And also, if you look at Chris Hemsworth's movies, you've got 3 Thor films that did very, very well that were on a sliding scale upward. He's in Avengers, Age of Ultron, and Endgame and Infinity War, 4 more movies that he was a heavy lifter in. People love him. So the characters were built up in these movies that people already loved. They never had love at the DCEU at all. Wonder Woman and Aquaman are the only 2 movies they got the most love.
I want to point something out here, okay? So you say, well, the Marvel thing had the Disney marketing machine. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson did a movie with a giant fucking ape called Rampage. All right, remember that? Listen, if you can find a picture for that, Jonathan, that'd be great. Remember that movie, Rampage?
Based on a video game.
Based on a video game. By the way, the movie was pretty cute. It's not great, but pretty cute. You know, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson did a movie called Rampage that nobody gave a shit about, right? That movie made $428 million. See this movie, guys? This movie made more than Black Adam. This movie you're looking at right here.
This is pretty cool, to be honest.
This movie made more money than Black Adam did. Wrap your heads around that.
Rightfully so, I think. I mean,
This
come on now.
movie made more money than Black Adam. Don't start crying about, well, they didn't have the Disney marketing machine. This didn't have the Disney marketing machine, and this movie made what? What are we talking about? $30 million more dollars.
By the way,
Black Adam
to be
did.
honest, John, if you showed me only one picture from each movie, and this was the movie you showed me from Rampage, and you showed me any other movie or any other picture from Black Adam, I would pick this movie every day and twice on Sunday. This, to me, is much more appealing than Black Adam.
But again, it just goes to show that a part of the failure of Black Adam is the fact that there is a disconnect between the current DC movies and the general audience.
Yes.
To the point that the audience would rather go see fucking Rampage than go see Black Adam. That listen, guys, if you need a prime example of that, guys, there's a disconnect between the audience and the DCU. And you ain't going to fix it with a Band-Aid. You ain't going to fix it with, well, let's just change it up. No. You need a clean slate because they did that with the Batman and look what the results were.
Yep.
Anyway, all
and
right,
then you
what's
can't argue with that.
No. All right, well, you need to keep going here. What's next?
Jay Bling says, so bye-bye to Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam, right?
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
I can't see any reality in which, I mean, look, I liked the movie. I liked Black Adam. I have some big issues with it. Yes, there are some definitely dialogue is terrible. That kid should never have been in the movie, whatever. At the end of the day, the important thing is I had fun. I like that movie. I would like to see another one. I can't see how they're going to do another one now, though.
No, they're
All
not
right.
going to.
All right, what's next?
Corey Hensley says, hear me out. If DC is indeed open to keeping Cavill around, I posit he could be an imposing Bruce Wayne Batman. Well, you just said that. Imagine Geralt's voice sans the accent.
I'll tell you what. Like I said, I went on Henry Cavill's Instagram and I wrote, I said, come on, tell us the truth. You're going to be the new Batman, aren't you? And you know what? That guy could be Bruce Wayne. That guy could be Bruce Wayne. I think Henry Cavill would be a great Bruce Wayne, but I don't think they want to start this new universe with a 40-year-old Batman.
No.
So that's the other thing. In all other things being equal, I think he'd make a great Batman. I really do. But they're not going to start. They've got a 10, 11, 12, 13-year plan. I don't think they're going to want to start with a 40-year-old
Totally agree.
Batman. All right, what's next?
Amin says, if they start with a Superman film, does that mean we won't get a Justice League film early on and we'll first get solo films like Marvel?
Maybe yes, maybe no. I mean, again, to me, it's never been about the formula. It's not about you do solo, group film. I don't believe in the formula, but it doesn't mean you have to do the opposite. Like, I'd be all for them launching with the Justice League, but if they decide to do, a Superman movie, a Batman movie, a Justice League movie, I'm good with that too. Whatever way they approach it, as long as they've got a solid plan, the formula doesn't mean 2 squirts of piss. It just make good movies.
That's it.
That's it. Make good movies. The Marvel Cinematic Universe did not succeed because they had a formula of solo movie group. They succeeded because they made a great movie that was beloved with another great movie that was beloved with another great movie that was beloved. That it's just make good movies and you'll succeed.
Agreed.
I think that's
I
my
agree.
guess. All right, what's next?
Alex Mata says, over under 60%. We get a new Quantum Mania trailer first week of January with the all-new promo images coming out.
I get into a lot of trouble when I prophesy new trailers to comic movies coming out. I end up eating ketchup on eggs when I do. So I'm not going to make any guesses about that. But I'm excited for the movie. I'm excited for the movie. And you are right. With more promo art coming out, that usually is a harbinger of a new trailer, but I'm not going to be foolish enough to make any bets this time.
We're getting close to that movie, too.
It's true. All right, what's next?
Akshay Thakur says, do you think that the casting for the new Superman will have the same amount of controversy as when Ben Affleck was cast as Batman?
I don't think so. But it all depends. Like if they announce tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, the new Last Son of Krypton, your new Jor-El, Tobey Maguire, or Jared Leto. There we go. Jared Leto is your new Superman. There might be, but I have yet to see James Gunn make a real controversial casting. Right? I mean, the most controversial was Dave Bautista as Drax, but it was actually a really good fit and it worked very well. So, probably I think, listen, I think James Gunn understands that when you're going to start off this new universe coming out of a DC cinematic universe that never lived up to its potential, you don't want to start off with everybody talking about controversy. So I think they're going to go out, they're going to get a really solid actor, maybe somebody who isn't as well known. Remember, Chris Pratt wasn't the megastar that he is now when they first cast him. He was like, wait, Andy from Parks and Rec? But so I think they'll just get somebody who's really, really solid and a pretty safe choice.
Yep.
That's my guess, but we'll find out. Maybe it will be Jared Leto. All right, what's next?
Dumb Brodor says, if Gunn wants to be more original with a Superman movie's direction, he could focus more on Clark Kent's journalism side, like Spotlight or She Said. I think they will do that.
But here's the problem. You can't go too much in that, because as much as I liked in many ways Superman Returns, it was a superhero movie without superheroics.
Right. Well, they won't do that.
Yeah, and they can't do that. Like, that's comic book movie audiences go, you pointed it out, right? They want to have the joy. They want to have the fun. I mean, do what the Batman did. The Batman leaned a little bit more into the detective side, but still had all the Batmanisms. Yeah, I agree with you. Go a little bit more into him as a journalist, but don't sacrifice the spectacle of what a Superman movie should be. That moment when Henry Cavill puts his fist down on the ground and the stones levitate and he takes first flight, man, my imagination soared. Like, I felt the awe and wonder of that. They've got to deliver that too. But I think they can do both. Hopefully.
I think they will.
All right, what's next?
Jace says, hey guys, do you think they'll be removing any post-credit scenes intended to set up future projects in the final DCEU films?
That's a very good question. Like, I don't see them changing the movies.
No.
But maybe, that little post-credit scene, let's just take that one out of there.
What's left? I know Shazam.
Well, we got Shazam. We've got
Blue Beetle.
Flash. We got Blue Beetle.
And Aquaman.
And Aquaman. All four I'm really excited about. I'm really excited for all four of these movies, but
if they tie directly to those that are already coming out and not beyond,
yes,
then sure.
Beyond. Yeah, so like if we get, what's the next one up? Is it Flash? Flash is the next one up?
I think Shazam's next up.
You're right, Shazam. So Shazam, if it's got like a little post-credit that teases the next Aquaman or Blue Beetle, or they leave that in, but I think you're right. I think if it's anything else, they probably slip it out. Very good question, man. Yeah. All right, what's next?
Hero75 says, I got here a little late, but have you seen the trailer for Legends of Vox Machina Season 2? Since you love Season 1, will you do an after show for it?
I don't think I'll do an after show for it because I don't think enough people watch it.
Right.
I really like Vox Machina. Because
it
feels like this is how a real game of D&D goes. This is how people talk in a real D&D game. I just really enjoy it on that level. But I haven't watched the new trailer for the new season yet, but I will because I'm very, very excited for this show. All right, what's next?
Harry Katsoros says, last week you were talking about James Cameron and the way he tells stories about people disguised as blockbusters. Hope Superman movie is at its core a young love story about Clark and Lois with big explosions.
Here's the problem for me. And this is only me. This is just me. I am not big on romantic relationships in my comic book movies. There are a few key exceptions. Tony Pepper, great. Peter and Gwen in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, I really liked that romantic relationship. And even though it was a more subtle one, Makari and Druig and Makari in Eternals is great. But honestly, for the most part, I honestly think the romantic relationships in comic movies is a waste of celluloid. Not that they use celluloid anymore, but maybe. But I mean, look, you can't have Superman without Lois, so that's got to be a part of it. I just hope it's not too big of a focus.
No, but I think it's going to be more of a, like, he's a young cub reporter. It's going to be more of a professional. I could see it be like in a 40s movie where there's that great pitter patter between two characters where they're not going to be romantically involved, at least not right away.
Listen, but I'm going to tell you this. One of the key things about a new Superman movie is this. You've got to nail the casting with Lois because, I love the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, but I never thought redhead,
Emma.
No, the one.
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst. And she's a great actress. I never thought she was the right fit to play MJ. Nothing against her. I just thought she was not the right fit. When you look at Superman Returns, Kate Bosworth, she's a wonderful actress. I really like her. She was not the right fit for that role. As much as I love Man of Steel, and Amy Adams is an Oscar level actress, that to me, that wasn't the right fit. I mean, her godlike acting ability overcame a lot of that, but I think you need to nail that casting.
Yeah,
for
you
Lois.
need, it's funny because I love Amy Adams, but I think the word that comes to mind is she was too soft. Lois Lane is a hard-edged. She's a city girl that's
We
going to
still
get in
have a
there.
little Margot Kidder in our heads, right?
Yeah,
we still got a bit of
but
that.
that's what she's, tough as
Who's the girl
nails.
who played Lois in Smallville?
Oh,
I forget the name of the girl who played Lois in Smallville, but that, not that she's the greatest actress in the world, but that iteration of Lois was like kind of the perfect. Oh, thank you. Big 07 in the live chat said Erica Durant.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That the personality of that Lois nailed it. Like that was, you bring that kind of a personality to it, that could be done very,
Lois
very well.
is a tough city girl.
Yep.
She's a go-getter. She's got gumption.
Yep.
Got gumption, kid.
All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher says, I just want a Justice League with Martian Manhunter as a founding member. Give me my Martian Manhunter movie. Gunn would do it. Oh, I agree. I think the Martian Manhunter is definitely going to be in whatever this new iteration
He
is
is
going to be.
totally a James Gunn kind of character.
Totally.
I'm going to be honest with you, though. I'm not a big Martian Manhunter fan.
Yes.
I never. Are you, Ray?
All mine.
I love
Yeah,
Martian
Ray
Manhunter.
loves his Martian Manhunter.
He ran the
I gotta
Justice
admit, I'm
League
not
for
a
a
big
while.
Martian Manhunter guy.
It depends how he's portrayed. I
Yeah.
think he could be, because he too is the last son of his planet.
Of a died world, yeah.
Yeah, so
All right, what's next?
I like Martian Manhunter. Colin Z says, happy 5th birthday, Last Jedi. The movie that unquestionably established Luke as the most powerful force wielder ever, saving the galaxy from his backyard. Love this film.
I cannot say that there are things about The Last Jedi that I love. There are things about it. Several things I do not, and I will have this debate forever, and I don't care. I'm happy to have the debate because I'll win every time. I love the portrayal of Luke. The way they portrayed Luke was so accurate to, because often people say, oh, they portray. I'm like, have you ever seen the original Star Wars movies? Because how the Luke character in The Last Jedi is absolutely consistent with everything that we understand about Luke up until that point. And again, like you often bring it up, right? He does the most Jedi thing we've ever seen on screen.
Yeah.
He literally saves people by not harming anybody. He literally, like you said, does it from his backyard. I love the portrayal of Luke in that movie, even though I have several big issues with The Last Jedi, but I love the way they handled Luke. I really did. Although, listen, I would have absolutely creamed my pants had we actually had a scene where Luke pulls out a lightsaber and just starts dusting like 500 stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Like fools. I would have loved that for sure. But what they did, I thought was really good.
What we got in The Mandalorian was really good, though. And we'll probably get more of that kind of style.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Arse Gravy says, my pick for a younger Superman is Austin Butler. He'd work both as Superman and Clark. He has the talent, the age, the look, the frame, and just needs to bulk up a bit.
Listen, that dude is probably going to get an Oscar nomination pretty soon here. Maybe yes, maybe no, but I think there's a good chance he gets an Oscar nomination for his portrayal as Elvis. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't see him as a good fit for Superman, though.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He's incredible, but I don't see him as a fit.
Yeah, I don't. I like him a lot. He was great in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He was great in Elvis, but I don't see him.
Oh, I
as
forgot about him. I'm here to do the devil's business.
Yeah, I mean,
He was really good at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
He was great.
Oh, all right. What's next?
Amin says, a thing I'll miss from the old DCEU is going to be the music. Like Wonder Woman's awesome theme or Superman's tune. They always did that much better than Marvel.
Dude, the one thing, I've said this for years, that the DCEU has consistently done better than Marvel films is their soundtracks. Marvel has some good soundtracks, absolutely do. Black Panther won an Academy Award for Jorgensen, is that?
Yeah.
Won an Academy Award, absolutely. But I still listen to What Are You Going to Do When You're Not Saving the World by Hans Zimmer 3 or 4 times a week. Every once in a while, I'm sorry, I know it's cliche-ish at this point, but when, I think her name is Gao.
Tina Gao, yeah.
When Tina Gao, when you hear, wow, like that Wonder Woman score hit, that's, come on, tell me your blood doesn't get pumped. I hope, fingers crossed, that they get Hans Zimmer to continue to score a lot of their stuff. I hope they do.
Probably will.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Trevor says, just recently saw Wakanda Forever, and I really liked it. I typically listen to heavier music, but damn, Rihanna's Lift Me Up during the credits hit me hard. I hope it gets the nomination and wins Best Original Song at the Oscars.
By the way, Trevor sent in like a $20 super chat. Thank you for that, Trevor. No, it's a beautiful piece at the end. Listen, I'm not as taken with Wakanda Forever as a lot of people. I like the movie. I like it, but it was, to me, was a significant step down from the first Black Panther movie. I mean, hey, you lost your main character and you lost your main star. I mean, you know, here's the funny thing too. There's some people say, ho ho. I mean, what has Black Panther made at the box office now? Or Wakanda Forever? It's closing in on $800 million, right? And I'm seeing people saying, oh, what a failure for Black Panther. It's like, tell me this, Sherlock. How much money do you think Iron Man 2 would have made at the box office if Tony Stark wasn't the main character anymore and Robert Downey Jr. wasn't in the movie? How much money do you think Iron Man 2 would have made?
Not a lot.
How much money do you think Top Gun Maverick would have made if Tom Cruise wasn't in it? And instead of, you know, Maverick as the lead character, Slider from the first movie. He's the main character now, and it's not Tom Cruise. How much money do you think Top Gun Maverick would have made? Of course. I've been telling you guys for a year that Wakanda Forever isn't going to make as much money because it was going to face those two big uphill things.
Yeah.
You lost your main character and you lost your lead actor. Of course it's not going to make as much.
By the way, it's also been consistently doing well at the box office. So
Yeah, and it's still doing really well.
do we know what it made?
771.
How much?
771.
771. By the way, Robert Hoskins in the live chat says Top Gun Slider. I say, Slider? You stink. I mean, yes. What would be, listen, I haven't just been saying things for nothing. You get a movie and you take out the main character and you take out the lead actor. How much money do you think its sequel's going to make? The fact that it's even broaching $800 million, I think is pretty impressive.
Yep.
So, all right, what's next?
The People's Champ 2007 says, can Cavill now go back to being The Witcher?
Yeah, remember, we had this discussion before. I don't know why there's this perception out there that Henry Cavill left The Witcher for Superman. He didn't. That had nothing to do with it. So, yeah, Henry Cavill not being in Superman anymore is not going to affect anything about him going back to The Witcher. So, no. Although, I can break some news right now. My insider sources have told me your new Superman, ladies and gentlemen, Liam Hemsworth. Liam Hemsworth is going to be your new Superman and Witcher. So, by the way, I'm clearly being facetious. All right, what's next?
CJ Rebirth says, John, if I see you guys at AMC today before the movie, can I get a photo? I'm asking now because I'm shy, and I'll probably get nervous asking you there in person.
Yes, absolutely. We often get that a lot when we go to the, always mostly usually at the movie theaters. But yeah, absolutely. I love that. By the way, another person in our live chat, I lost who said it. Oh, there it is. Hank Cooper, Top Gun Cavill. There you go. There's your third Top Gun movie right there.
I'd watch that.
I'd watch it too. All right, what's next?
Attack of the Mushi says, seeing Avatar 2 soon, 3 p.m. and 7:15 p.m. today.
Already got 2 tickets signed up. Yeah, I'm seeing it at 3 p.m. like 2.5 hours from now. 2.5 hours
Where are you
from now.
going to see it? Close or?
Yeah, we're going to go see it in Riverside. Ray and I will be sitting down for with trailers and that goddamn stupid Nicole Kidman ad. 4 hours. 4 hours we'll be sitting in that seat watching Avatar. All right, what's next?
The Inedible Hulk says, breaking, Gunn casts Michael Rooker as Superman.
Will!
I'd
Listen,
watch that.
I guarantee you,
That
Michael
was almost
Rooker,
too good, John.
I 100% guarantee you Michael Rooker's going to be in the DC universe somewhere. 100% guarantee he's going to be in there.
Lex Luthor.
He's
Dude, I'd love that.
Michael Rooker as Lex Luthor would rule.
Superman, you just get in my nerves. Yeah, no, I don't. That's a terrible Michael Rooker imitation I just did, by the way. I regret doing it instantly. All right, what's next?
Remy Alestra just sent in a super chat.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Remy. Appreciate that, man.
Al Renshaw says, I could see Affleck direct Dr. Fate, Hawkman, Green Arrow, or Lobo. I agree with Bob that he could also direct Batman.
You know, if, and we don't know, let's be careful, but if Jason Momoa is going to be Lobo, Ben and Jason have a great relationship. I mean, why not? But I agree with you, Rob. I think it'll be something more in Ben's wheelhouse, that more gritty, urban-centered kind of thing. And Lobo wouldn't fall in that, but him and Jason get along great. So who knows? Maybe. All right, what's next?
Dragon 10 says, obviously annoyed that my favorite Superman. I'm a bigger fan than you, John.
Oh,
It's
those
over.
are fighting words, Dragon 10.
But hopefully I like the next Superman even more.
I mean, that's the thing, right? The thing what real fans do is we celebrate what we love, and then when it comes to an end, we become hopeful for what is to come next. Maybe what comes next will be as good. Maybe it won't be as good. Maybe it'll be better. Maybe it'll be significantly worse. But what fans should do is say, okay, I loved Henry. I loved Henry in it. His time as Superman is over now. Okay. Let's be hopeful about what's to come. And then what comes, maybe good, maybe bad, but let's determine that once it happens. But let's look hopefully into the future. By the way, I just had a thought.
Uh-oh.
What about all those pictures? You brought up a picture earlier, Jonathan. I don't know if you still have it handy with Jason and Ben together, but what if those pictures that came out of the WB lot, what if that was them talking about Ben directing Jason in a Lobo movie, and they've been laying the groundwork of this for a while? I'm not breaking any scoops here. I'm just speculating as a fan. I'm just thinking out loud. Maybe that's why Jason was so happy. Maybe that's why he was looking so excited.
I don't know.
Okay, I'm just saying. Top Gun Lobo, says Sandro in the live chat. All right, what's next? You look at that. See, that's an actor and a director right there.
Those guys are going to have a good time.
And they're going to have a lot of fun.
They're going to get paid.
I hope they get to work together. All right, what's next?
Chris Barcenas says, my heart broke too, hearing the news.
Dude, listen, as hopeful as I am about the future of the DC, I'm more hopeful right now about the future of DC than I have been in many, many years. Of course, it comes with a degree of sadness, right? It's heartbreaks for this. I mean, hey, we can celebrate the destruction of the Death Star, but we pour one out for poor Porkins, right? I mean, so of course I am heartbroken.
He was a lame pilot. Come on.
I am absolutely heartbroken about Henry not being Superman anymore, but I get it. So let's look forward to better days. All right, what's next?
Dildar says, though I'm sad about Henry, I have faith in James and his work for DC, and Marvel have been liquid gold.
I have absolutely all the faith in the world in James Gunn. He has never let me down. Even when he put out a huge box office flop like that Suicide Squad movie. That movie was awesome.
That's the thing.
That movie.
The movie's great, and it didn't deserve to flop, but it was a extenuating circumstances.
Yeah, there were a lot of extenuating circumstances. And then he did Peacemaker, which ended up being like one of my favorite shows of the year. What he did with Guardians of the Galaxy. Again, if you guys haven't seen Slither, go watch Slither or Super, whatever. I love his approach. And again, I don't think this should be overlooked. The very fact that he is going and sitting down face to face with people to meet with them in person, not send them a text message. He went and sat down with Henry. Like I like that. That's the way you do business. Listen, it is not a coincidence that every single person that has ever worked with James Gunn loves James Gunn. Nathan Fillion will do anything Nathan Fillion's gone on record saying, I'll do anything James Gunn ever asked me to do. Dave Bautista was, when James Gunn was removed from Disney like a couple of years ago, Dave Bautista was like, fuck you, Disney. I'm done working with you guys. The whole cast, the whole cast of Guardians got together and wrote that open letter about, we support James Gunn. I mean, there's a reason why why everybody who has ever worked for him always wants to work for him. And now that guy's the head of your studio, that's pretty good.
Well, and also they're both creatives. Peter Safran and James Gunn are filmmakers. They're not sitting in their hollowed halls of executive offices. They have to meet with people because they have to be able to talk to them face to face to get them on board, to know that, are we going to work together? I can't do that over the phone.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Matt Boyle says, I just want to say I love listening to your show. I listen to it every day at work. I'm a steel worker.
Oh, wow.
And I pull steel every day. So the man of steel is listening to your show.
Hey, Matt, thank you so much for that. And thank you for giving us the privilege of being there with you at work as you're doing your job. That is a rough ass
I
job.
love that a real man of steel listens to the show.
Hey, listen, my hometown
That's cool.
is Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, which the nickname of Hamilton is Steel City, because that we have like these two giant, or at least did have these two giant steel mills, Stelco and DeFasco. Like it's known as Steel City. So I have a lot of respect for what you do, man. Thanks for writing that in. That's a privilege, dude. All right, what's next?
Connor Dixon sends in a super chat. And Remy Alestra sends in another super chat.
Thank you guys for the support. Appreciate that.
So my love for movies said, I love this question. So now, what incentive do we as moviegoers have to go watch pending DC films in the theaters when the DC universe as we know it no longer exists?
All right, this is a question I've seen a lot of people
Me too.
throwing around. And honestly, by the way, super appreciate you sending the question, but I have to say the question befuddles me a little bit. It's like saying, I've never seen the Godfather movies. Why should I go watch the Godfather now that it's done? There's no Godfather 4 coming. It's not an ongoing cinematic universe. Why should I watch the Godfather movies when it's just a dead franchise? Because the movies are great. We go, oh God, I'm going to sound like Nicole Kidman. We come to this place. We go to the movies. We go and watch the movie to sit down and hopefully, fingers crossed, have a great experience. That's all I care about. Like the Joker, like thankfully, because remember when the Joker came out, they were dead set. It's a one and done movie, period. Right? Now, granted, we did end up getting a sequel because it made $1 billion, but they always said this is a one and done movie. Why should I go see the Joker? If it's not going to be part of a big cinematic universe with an ongoing 40-part franchise, why should I bother go seeing it? Because it's a thought-provoking, immersive, deep, entertaining movie. That's why you go see it. So we go to see The Flash for the same reason we go to see any movie, to hopefully have a really good time and be entertained. We go to see the new Shazam movie for the same reason that we should go to see any movie, because we hope this movie will give us a great 2 hours in the movie theater and a great experience and a fun time. That's why we go to any movie. So yeah, I have to confess, the question to me is a little befuddling, because it suggests that even if the movie's kind of mediocre, well, as long as it leads into something else, I don't understand that mentality personally, but I'm going to go watch The Flash because I hear it's a good movie and I hope to have a really good time.
Yeah, you know, I had to sell my 4K disc of The Shawshank Redemption because Andy and Red, there's never a second movie.
There's never been a sequel. Why watch
fishing
Shawshank?
business movie?
Get rid of it. It's a useless movie.
I'm not going to watch it.
Anyway, but I do appreciate you writing and ask the question, man. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. All right. And I think we're just ending off with some support.
Remy Alestra sends in a super chat.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here and making the John Campea Show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. By the way, guys, I have a question for those of you who are still watching. We put up a post about this in our community tab, and it was overwhelming. But I wanted to ask you guys, we have started experimenting because I put up a poll in the tab. Say, look, we usually have 4 sponsors per episode.
Right.
And I asked our audience, I said, guys, would you prefer that we continue to take 4 separate breaks with 1 sponsor spot per break? Or would you prefer us to just take 2 breaks instead of 4, but put 2 sponsor spots per break? And more than double the amount of people responded that they would rather just see 2 breaks with 2 ad spots per break. So now that we've actually been doing it for a couple of days, would you guys mind giving me your thoughts on that? Do you prefer just taking 2 breaks instead of 4, or do you prefer 4 breaks, but the breaks are a little bit shorter? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. I appreciate that. All right, guys. For everybody in the room, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett, Ray Ora back there, who's going to be going to see a marathon of a film experience at Avatar. Jonathan Voico's been running the show. Taylor Gonzalez, who's been giving us some fact checks for that. And most importantly, you guys for being here. Thanks a lot, guys. My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, Cavill for life.